Comic Timing
is a proud member
of the
Stop screwing it up.
Of the Comics Podcast Network.
Bitch. Welcome to episode 199 of Comic Timing, a comics podcast devoted to the average comic book fan from the average comic book fan. Joining us, Brett Casino, rotating panel of guests, and myself, Ian Levinstein, discuss whatever comes to mind, time after time, here on Comic Timing. Why so sick? Oh, wrong Joker. My bad. We're talking about the Joker on this episode. Here now, Comic Timing. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 199 of Comic Timing. We took the mothballs out. We're out of hibernation, and we return. And Brent Casino's been sitting here the entire time.
I've been patiently waiting.
Patience is a virtue, man. That's what that one commission like 5 years ago from Michael Golden told us.
That was not 5 years ago.
It was fine. It was 9.
It's a virtue.
Has it really been like 8 or 9 years already since that patience is a virtue shit?
That was like 2007.
Oh my god. And that's Raf Suhu making me feel old.
Hey, we're both the same age, so it's fine. We're good.
Oh, I know. I just don't like how time flies.
I don't either. I'm supposed. I don't know, man. Just whatever.
Patience is a virtue should be on the cover page of Doomsday Clock number 12.
That is true. And the other person with patience on this call is somebody who has to put up with my shit way too often, Chris Naudis. And hey, it's via Skype for the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah. On this show.
Okay, I don't remember what shows I've been on. I'm on so many podcasts with so many more listeners than this show.
Listen, you've been on the best podcasts with all the listeners. So many listeners. I can't even count how many listeners. It's been amazing.
Hey, I want to tweet from the official Engadget Twitter account that you're on Comic Timing.
I don't think that's going to happen, but you can probably get a tweet from @ChrisNaudis.
Whatever.
I can't even get into that Twitter account. But hey, Devendra told me...
post an article, right?
Post an article, bullshit. What did Devendra tell you?
No, I was like, when am I going to be on the podcast? And he's like, what, you weren't on the last one? And I'm like, no, you bumped me.
Oh, God, I think I remember that, too.
Yeah, so... here I am.
Yes, indeed. And we're here to talk about a movie that was definitely a movie. Somebody thought it was a film, and it might just be a movie, but we'll get into that as the show goes forward here. That art house film that DC put out called The Joker. I have thoughts and opinions. I'm pretty sure we all have thoughts and opinions. And I think I'm just going to start this off with Raph, because he's sitting the farthest from me, I think. Well, wait, you're all far. You're all on Skype, so it doesn't actually make any difference.
Technically, I'm the closest because Chris is in Brooklyn, and I'm a little closer than that.
Good point. Anyway, Raph, thoughts and opinions on the Joker.
Wow, you never go to me first.
Sorry.
Yeah, you never go to me first.
I know.
Oh, man. I have a lot of thoughts. Like, the biggest thought, actually, I felt right after I walked out of AMC and like went down to Subway, I really felt trolled. So the thing is, the Joker's a psychopath, obviously. The Joker's a crazy person. The Joker's motives are ununderstandable because he doesn't have a normal brain. And yet the entire point of the movie is to try to get us to understand the Joker and almost make his circumstances, he's not sympathetic because he's just out of his mind, but to make his circumstances sympathetic. So like the implication is that under the right circumstances, anyone could be the Joker. And I kind of feel trolled by that because not every person with mental illness is psychotic like that. Right. And not everyone who goes through those situations reacts the same way. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel a little annoyed by that. And it's like a beautiful movie. It's well shot. It's well acted. But between that and the fact that like I also feel like the Batman lore is just a veneer that's like painted on top of the movie so that it could be called the Joker. Yeah, is also what bothers me about it.
Parts of it definitely feel like that was added after the fact, too. I don't know whether or not there were reshoots on this movie, but it just feels like it was such a tack on.
Right. Like, it was just tacked on. Oh, by the way, this is a Batman. This is the Joker, Batman's arch nemesis. Mm-hmm. You've known him for like 100 years now, and this is his story. But it didn't feel like his story. It felt like a story that a similar character was going through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't feel like the Joker.
Maybe
And
it was the smoker from all the cigarettes that he smoked in the movie.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It was meant to be a '70s movie, and everyone smoked in the '70s. And sure, you're making a period movie. That's fine, but you're also making a I don't know. It works on a lot of levels. It does. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just there are a couple. It just doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't.
I would say one of the things that's strong about the Batman mythos is that you can just use it as a veneer to tell a great story,
Right.
and use that veneer to do such things. I mean, Gotham by Gaslight is a cool story using the Batman veneer to tell a Victorian one about Jack the Ripper.
Right.
You got Batman Red Rain telling a vampire story that's got a heavy Batman veneer, but it's there. You know, you got a lot of detective stories using Batman veneers, and Gotham Central is a cop book that's using a Batman veneer to make people buy it. So
Right.
I think that's one of the stronger things about the Batman mythos and the characters is that they are so malleable that you are able to shape them around the kind of story you want to tell.
Well, see, and that brings up an interesting point. I might as well just ask you your thoughts and opinions on the movie, Brent, since that rolls well into that.
I mean, I spent a whole 15 minutes on BK's Bullets on YouTube talking about it, how I can't really recommend it to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even give it a score, which is the first time I've ever not done something.
You just
like
gave
that.
it a shrug emoji. Like that's
yeah, it was
Yeah.
just kind of like, you know, I left the film, I was like, huh. It made me really think a lot. It made me reflect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I was talking with Jim McFanus, my buddy at work, he was saying that, you know, if it made me think and reflect that much, then there's something to be gained from that film. Whether or not I thought it was entertaining is a different story. So I definitely think it's well crafted and masterfully made. There's definitely something to that. The performances are well done. I really like the directing, the way the shots were composed, really slow. The way the music was a slow build or hammered stuff in, and with the score, and then the song choices as well were a little wacky, but I think that kind of goes with it. And the Batman stuff, I really didn't have an issue with because I knew, or I assumed going in, like, we'll never see this guy with Batman because he's too old.
Yeah.
So I can forgive all the Batman stuff that felt tacked on with Thomas Wayne and other stuff that I was like, I'll go with it. Because it's real or it's not, and it's up to you to decide what you want it to be.
Right. Chris, over to you.
Well, about the Batman stuff, I was thinking, like, I had no problem with it. I thought it kind of worked well because it was very light. I actually liked the whole thing about where he thought maybe Thomas Wayne might be his father, Bruce might be his brother. Except it wasn't. I felt like it fell flat ultimately at the end because he doesn't really connect with any of them.
Right.
Like, he does that weird thing where he's just like scrunching up Bruce's face instead of. I feel like in a more traditional. I know people will say this isn't supposed to be a traditional narrative, but I feel like in a more traditional narrative they would have had the two bonding on some level, which actually would have made it even more tragic. Say when the Waynes actually die.
Right.
But Raph, you said, I think on Facebook about how you feel like Todd Phillips really hates society.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into something I've been thinking about watching this. Because when I saw it with Ian and his girlfriend, and I kind of got angry watching it because, like, when you watch a movie, you should be fully immersed in the world you're seeing. And external concerns really shouldn't be like leaking their way in. But while watching The Joker, I became very acutely aware of how many things that happened in the movie were the result of authorial intent. Like, Ian, knows I mentioned some of this, but I'll explain it to you guys. What really stuck out at me was like, so you have the scene at the beginning, he's got the sign, he's dressed as a clown, he's waving the sign around, and then the kids steal the sign and he runs after them. And then he finally catches up to them and they beat the crap out of him. And there's absolutely no reason for them to do that or even to put as much effort as they did into doing it. Like, I could see kids being an asshole stealing the sign, but they would have ditched it after a block. But this scenario, they're like, no, they're so intent on making him miserable. They're just going to run for blocks and blocks. Oh, by the way, he should not be a comedian. He should be a goddamn track star. He ran so fast in this movie.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, every scene where he ran, I was like, "How? Why is this the career he's chosen? Clearly, he would do really well, like in sports." But yeah, so like the kids steal the sign. It gets broken. He gets his ass kicked, and then nobody believes him that the sign was stolen because it makes no sense. And then like you combine that and like with the scene where he's on the bus and the kid's staring at him, and all of us who have taken public transportation know that scenario so well. Like you're just sitting there minding your own business and some child is just staring at you. And what do all of us do? We make faces at them. We try to break the tension. But in the movie, the mom's like, "Leave my kid alone." Literally no parent would ever do that. They would be like, "Oh, why is my kid laughing? Oh, the person's making faces. Carry on."
Yeah.
Like parents can be
good,
defensive.
you're distracting my child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the guy, Arthur was in no position to do anything to the kid. Like the hostility that came for her was not because of any internal logic. It was just Todd Phillips wanted to create this world where everyone was unnecessarily cruel to Arthur.
Well,
And like it bothered me. I was just like, this I can't believe this transition because I know it's so intentional of the director.
I think that's okay though. Isn't that what filmmaking is supposed to be?
You
It's
should
like someone
think
telling
about
you a
them, though.
story. But you think about it when you're watching Star Wars or something like that. That's bullshit.
Well, no.
So
See,
why can't this be taking place in a city that doesn't exist? And why can't the things that happen to him be intentfully hurtful or hateful to show you the extremes of what can happen when a person is pushed this way, or maybe perhaps even thinks he's being pushed?
Well, here's the thing, though, Brent, is that that's all well and good, and I mean that's happened in tons of movies, and it's worked well.
I know, but
in
you guys did the same thing. Not you guys specifically, but like the podcast did the same thing when we were watching like Man of Steel or any other thing, where it was like, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen. Well, that's the story they wanted to tell.
What I said. Yeah.
Hold on. That's the story they wanted to tell, and it did happen to Arthur in their story.
Right.
And I think that's okay. You're right. It is authorial intent. I don't think it makes it a bad movie.
But
I didn't say it made it bad. I said it became obvious. Like you mentioned Star Wars, and you watch Star Wars. I'm not sitting there going, "Man, Rian Johnson made some good choices." No, I'm like, "Man, Leia's flying through the air. That's really cool." Or "Leia's flying through the air. That's really stupid." But you shouldn't be thinking Rian Johnson made a bad choice. Carrie Fisher made a bad choice. Like that's not something you should be doing, because you should, for bad or good, you should be immersed in the story. When I watched Justice League, which I think is a completely meh movie, I wasn't sitting there going, "Man, Zack Snyder's such a fucking asshole." Like, no, I was just like, this movie's kind of blah.
Maybe Ian did in the back of his mind.
Hey.
I get what you're saying. Like for me, I tried to stay away from a lot of the stuff from the movie. It was very hard to do with all the stuff about blank security concerns or whatever bullshit that people wanted to spout. But whether it was real or not, nothing did happen of note the opening weekend. Let's put that in the history books. But I mean, I was watching the same scenes going, okay, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this? Like I was thinking about the filmmaker's choices in the very beginning of this movie, but 15 minutes in, and I was kind of like, oh man, am I going to do this the whole film? I'm right there with you, Chris. But 15 minutes in, I forgot about all that shit. Understood the character and kind of, took myself out of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing though. Like, for an excellent movie, for a movie that, to work on all cylinders, to work on all levels, is that idea shouldn't even come into play at all. And we're going to bring this up at some point, so I might as well at least bring it up here to start off my initial thoughts, is that King of Comedy, a movie that has a lot in common with this movie, I didn't run into that once watching that, thinking to myself, man, why did Scorsese make him do that? Or man, why did Scorsese make the decision to make De Niro's character so crazy or hate the world as much as he did? Like, it was believable insanity for that character and the things that happened to him throughout the picture. Here, it just felt heavy-handed and forced. And I think that...
Yeah, it wasn't subtle at all.
Well, I mean,
it was a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
But how many articles did you read or scroll by, not even try and read, that said before this film came out that you saw it, that said, "Oh, Todd Phillips is trying to do this," or
You wanna
is
know-
Todd
know-
I
Phillips
read
trying to do
zero.
this?
Yeah,
I read
was gonna say.
absolutely zero. I avoided everything because I
No,
was like,
but you saw the headlines.
Brent?
I'm still saying there's still
I
like
scrolled
something in your
but I
head.
scrolled right past them.
Yeah, Brent. I'm gonna be entirely honest with you, man. For this movie in particular, because I know what happened with Man of Steel and I know what happened with Justice League. For this movie in particular, I did my goddamn best not to read anything past like the awards that it won at film festivals. I did my goddamn best to make sure that my opinion was not skewed either way until I saw the thing, and then I sat down and saw it.
Yeah, I really wanted to see the movie. Like, I didn't give a shit about it for the most part until maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then it was like, hey, it won was it the Venice Film Festival or Cannes?
Yeah.
It won the Lion. I don't know.
the Golden Lion, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird. And then looking at it, it was kind of like, oh, they shot this in New York. Now I kind of want to see it just for the visuals, which we can talk about in a bit, but it is a beautiful movie, even if there's slight little weird things. Yeah, I didn't read that many or I don't think I read any. It was just that, and I started to look forward to the film. So like, just say that, Brent, I was looking forward to it. I was like, this movie is probably problematic as shit, but at least I'll like enjoy the performance.
Right.
I'll enjoy the visuals. And I did. It's just the way, like, it didn't have a message. Like we're going to probably argue about this like crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, you mentioned the King of Comedy, and the King of the Comedy was very like, everybody's motivations were very clear. This guy wants to be a star. Sandra Bernhardt's character is just obsessed with the comedian. Like you at least know what people want here. I'm like, Arthur wants to be famous, but I don't know what the movie wants to do with that.
Yeah.
What it is, the problem I have with the way it's structured, that like society is cruel to him, and that makes him crazy, was that I feel like the society, it wasn't directed. Again, I go back to those kids with that random act of violence. Those kids, I guarantee you, at the end of the movie, were joining in the rioting, putting on clown masks, and doing all that stuff. And I kind of like, maybe that would happen in real life, but as a movie, it kind of was just very directionless. I feel like it would have been better served if the forces that were acting against him were like coming from one direction, like the government is pushing him down or the rich are pushing him down. Yeah. Here it was just everyone is pushing him down because everyone is a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And
or even a comedic rival, like, or something like that. Somebody getting in his way, as part of his career or something would have made.
We did get that a little. But again, it's one of many.
Right.
Like it's not just that. It's his mom being crazy and lying to him.
Yeah.
It's Thomas Wayne not accepting him. It's his social worker, not really caring about him and then leaving anyway.
Yeah.
There's literally the entire city is working against him until it doesn't work against him and then joins him to fight against the rich people who are also against him and everyone else, but not really, but just Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it was really all over the place. And like, there were 97 different messages. Like only 2 or 3 of them really came through. At best.
And the worst part of all of it, Raph, is that this isn't a Jared Leto scenario for me. Like, this isn't. I didn't leave this thinking, God, that Joker was terrible.
No.
Joaquin Phoenix was amazing.
He was really good.
He was absolutely
I liked
amazing.
him a lot.
Yeah, he enveloped himself in the role, and he created this character that was awkward, and you believed his insanity, and the cry laugh was easily the strongest part of the entire performance because you never quite knew which one he was doing. And
he's also a guy who doesn't actually know what's funny.
Yes.
Which I feel like the movie could have really, really dug in on that. Like people keep saying he's not funny, and we get that hint, but we never really see it for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Like at least the thing with the King of Comedy was that it has that tension where you're like, is what's his name, Pupkin?
Yeah, Rupert Pupkin.
Yeah, Rupert Pupkin. Is he funny or isn't he? You don't find out until you have that big thing at the end where he gives the stand-up routine, and it's like, oh, this is okay. This is actually passable.
Yeah.
With Arthur, it's like you don't really see, like, because they cover up the performance, the one that's a failure, and like later on you see clips of it and you're like, oh, he did terrible. Like, it's just, there's no build up, there's no tension in it. It's all, that part was all over the place.
I don't know. I would really. weird how sometimes I feel like we see two completely different movies, because I kind of took the movie like as we're watching it, like obviously, or I don't know if it's obvious, but to me it was all from Arthur's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was the director's intent, was like, here, meet Arthur. We're gonna spend every minute of this film with him, practically, and everything here in this film is viewed through his lens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's going insane to begin with, because the film is about Joker, I guess, and that he's supposed to go insane by the end. Like, that's the ratcheting tension. It's like Titanic. The iceberg's coming, you just don't know how big it is or when it's going to hit, kind of thing. And so all the different factors of his life, whether it was the stupid mean mom on the bus that told him to leave his kid alone. I've had bad days and been dicks to other people around my kids, for sure. So I don't write that off as like, oh, that wasn't unrealistic. I've been in a bad mood around my kids before and just took it out on someone else. The comedy stuff, him not knowing is funny, the clowns being mean, like the government society cutting back on his meds and his counseling and all that stuff, like all that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a psychologist to tell me that that's true or not, but leads me to believe that it's probably a variety of things that help someone encounter these mental problems. I don't really know that if there's one thing on one day that can drive a person insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's things that can cause trauma, I believe.
Well, first off, let's talk about...
I don't think it's unreasonable to say that there was a variety of factors that led this character to be this way. I think it's true, and it's not all in one day or all in one week. I mean, you think about his whole life, and what we discover in the film is like with the radiator stuff. Like, there's trauma behind there that's never been treated. So it's a lot of stuff that's been piled on and stuff like that. So I don't think it's unreasonable to say that the variety of factors that were in his life, that was the whole point of the story, is here's a guy who's had untreated trauma that he didn't know about even, and then his mother was deceiving him, or was she, and he doesn't know what to think, and all these things are falling apart around his life. So what does he do? He lashes out, and really it drives him to suicide at the end. Like, that's really what the ending should have been, but he got so angry on television that he changed his mind, and that's where we end up at the end of the film.
There's also parts of it that if we hadn't seen, the Wayne family murdered in the alley for the 197th time, you could have easily said that the last quarter of the movie could have easily been a hallucination in his head, and that him in the in the loony bin in Arkham at the end is just where he's been for a while. I
feel like the whole movie could have been a delusion, but I was expecting that, oh, are we going to find out that when the kids beat him up in the alley, he got into a coma or something like that? Because I'm sorry if I wanted to cut you off earlier, but it's like saying, I don't think he went insane. That's not really how it works. The thing is, his mom.
How do we know how it works, though? We're not insane.
We have mental illness. It's not something that just happens.
That's what I'm saying, though. Is I'm not diagnosed. I don't think it's for us to say that he was or wasn't insane. He believed something was up with him, and he had people telling him, you have bad thoughts. People telling him, basically, you're crazy.
Yeah, he's on medication. So we knew he was already diagnosed. He was already sick. He probably inherited something from his mom.
So why don't you think he's insane?
Because it doesn't, you don't have to be insane. He's very, I don't know, how.
It's totally, one of my point is.
I'm thinking of this as a mental illness thing. As someone with a mental illness, I think about it. I'm just I hate, I don't want to say it's a magical switch you flip.
Right, but what you would say to me if I put mental illnesses in one jar is you would say they're not all the same and not everybody's is the same, right? So it's probably the same thing to say, you can't, we know this all is a story in fiction, right? This is just a story that's trying to tell a point, and that the point is for everybody to determine on their own, basically, right? But there is a general thing they were probably trying to say, either about Joker or about society. But to say whether he was insane or not, I don't know that, the film laid bare all the clues that, yeah, he's probably insane. or probably got
So-
mental illnesses.
The thing is,
But your definition of insane is not. I mean, we're not trained psychologists or psychiatrists to be able to discern that based on 2 hours of a film.
Yeah, well,
guess.
you're the one who said he was insane. I'm just saying, like, it's.
He-
I don't really want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
issues. He's got problems. Whatever you want to do, like he's the edge of the spectrum at the end of that movie. He's
Yeah.
somebody you don't want out there in the wild.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ralph.
that's it.
Yeah, well, go ahead,
What's
Ralph.
up, Ralph?
I was gonna say, I mean, like, so there's like, he's not. I don't think he's mentally ill, but he's definitely psychotic, and those are two different things. Like, it's not just like there are very like there are like he's very he feels very much like every mass shooter
Mm-hmm.
that we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Where like the rage builds up against society, and there's a sense of like I try, like, he even, there are things that he says that I've heard mass shooters say. Why is the world so mean? Why is everyone so mean to me? I don't get it. I try to be nice. I try to do good things, and then and this is what happens to me, and then they lash out. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that people say when these mass shootings happen, because I lived with a mentally ill person for 30 years, and it doesn't feel the same to me.
Mhm.
And that's my experience.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. Paranoid schizophrenics aren't necessarily violent. My dad was, but again, I wouldn't compare it to this because I don't feel like it's the same.
And his
So-
mother's probably closer to, because yes, she definitely has a mental condition.
She was delusional
Yes.
and narcissistic, according to
Yes.
the diagnosis that was on the papers.
Right.
So that's a little bit more like paranoid schizophrenia, where like
Right.
she literally lives in a different reality than his, and she doesn't see. That's the thing. So he made up Zazie Beetz, but he was still experiencing reality on some level
Mhm.
that was similar to what we would experience reality.
Right.
I think it wasn't until the Zazie Beetz thing that I started thinking, oh, they're gonna start playing with what we see. Is it what we see real and what we see not real? And then they didn't. They stopped playing with it
Yeah.
because things that happen are real. He kills the Wall Street guys. He avoids the cops. He kills that guy that set him up, to get him fired. Those things are real. There's no unreliable narrator.
Right.
But for those 10 to 15, for that one scene where they reveal it, there's an unreliable narrator, and that doesn't feel like it's really accurate.
It feels thrown in. It feels thrown
So-
in more
Yeah.
than anything else.
So let's focus on this a little bit, because Zazie Beetz shows up. I forget her character's name. They didn't make it very clear if they did say it more than once. She's a character who lives on the same hallway, has a daughter. We meet her in the elevator. Sophie is
Sophie
probably her name,
Dumond.
sure.
Sophie Dumond. Yeah.
Okay.
Weird
So-
suicide thing?
Shooting yourself in the head.
Yeah, she does
Miming it?
the Kim Pine thing.
So
Yeah,
that
continue.
we can take as real, but once she shows up, he invites her to the comedy thing, and I don't remember if that was like a different. This was a week ago. I don't remember if that was like a different point in the movie that he invites her. So I don't know whether to take that as real. But once they're in the comedy thing and like they start playing with the sound and the lights and stuff, and she's just like all of a sudden there. I was kind of like, is she there or is she not there?
She never got
And then they
invited.
start having the casual walk down the street where
Yeah.
they're like romancing, like they're on an episode of Friends or whatever. And I'm like, okay, she's definitely kind of not there. If she
Yeah.
is there, they're really leaving a lot out.
The only scene with her that's real is the scene in the elevator, because when he shows up in her apartment, she's like, "You're Arthur, right? You live down the hall," which means they've never had a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So that is made clear in the movie, but I don't think I think the clues were there, the way the stuff was angled and shot, and like they were playing with reality, because they kind of made you feel like he was failing at the same time, and then they made you feel like he felt he was succeeding when they were laughing at him at the end of that comedy scene. So that's where I was kind of like, this is too good to be true, almost.
Mm-hmm. Which is well and good. I just feel like they dropped it too soon after the reveal. That there were no other moments in the movie that you can significantly point to, unless you read it the way that, you know, I'm saying, like, hey, what if the last quarter of it is entirely false? But that's entirely up to, you know, like fan theories and shit like that. Like, the movie itself does not actually play with it past the Zazie reveal. And if he's losing it, he's losing it. You know, you should be seeing more of that. It should be driven home a bit more rather than just be thrown out.
They definitely could have played with it more. I'm with you there. Like, they could have had different flashbacks. They could have had him killing the dwarf man.
They were relying on
letting him go and that kind of thing. But they were playing with the tension of, like, you going, like, is he gonna kill this guy?
I'll be honest. I wanted to find out he never even killed his mother. I wanted him to think that he killed his mother, and then have her just show back up at the apartment.
Yeah, you wanted it to kind of. I was thinking that, you know, what movie did the whole what's real, what's not, oh, it's all a lie thing really well is American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like he kills these people, and then at the end, it's like it never happened, and even he doesn't know what's real or not. Like, did he kill them and it's been covered up, or did he just imagine the whole thing? You never find out because you don't see the people again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and the same could be said. I mean, again, not to bring it back to King of Comedy again, but to bring it back to that, you know, the whole ending of that movie is up to interpretation as to whether or not it really happened or not. You know, Rupert Pupkin becoming a big star and what have you. You know, that could easily be in his head, just like everything else was about him, you know, performing on the show, on Jerry Lewis's show. You know, like it's left that way on purpose. In this, you know, at the end with all the screens and what have you, that's a lot more similar. In fact, it's almost like verbatim to Network. They're doing a send up to there of all the news reports and everything, and how the Joker becomes a name, but it's presented very differently and more concrete, I feel like. And it just muddles the damn message of the whole thing. Really, that's my main problem with this whole fucking movie, is that there's no clear narrative.
Doesn't have a soul to it because it's just borrowing pieces of other movies.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because I like Quentin Tarantino does that stuff. He does the pastiche stuff, but I still feel like there's a stronger through line in his films. Also, as he gets older, his films are becoming, I think, more unique. Yeah. This, like, I liked the homages. Like, I was like, yeah, Network, that's really cool. King of Comedy, that's cool. Taxi Driver, I haven't seen Taxi Driver, but okay, cool, fine. There's no unique voice to it. He's just borrowing pieces of other people's ideas, which, I mean, again, you can enjoy it, but that's probably why we've all walked out being like, huh.
Yeah.
But that, like, I mean, that's a fair criticism, but I would argue there's not that many unique movies today, which is a reality of the movie system, that no one goes to see unique movies. You got something like Jordan Peele in Get Out, you know, being unique and very successful, and he had Us, the second movie, which is, I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming it was as unique as Get Out. At least
it was unique, and it did well. It did do well.
So, and let's look at comics today. Like, all of the stuff that they read for their inspiration and stuff, all that stuff is not unique per se. It's all based on something. It all came from somewhere or was influenced by other things.
Oh yeah.
You want to blow up Tom King as a unique writer? All his stuff is pulling from other stuff. And it's not that good either. So, you know, I guess I did put in a dig on Tom King there just for the hell of it.
It's fine.
But, like, I don't think there are unique comic book storytelling writers anymore. Or if they are hard to find in mainstream books.
I would point directly to Jonathan Hickman as proof that is 100% not true. And guys, yeah,
Saga.
I said mainstream, and yes, Hickman is doing something very weird. And
I would say Saga is mainstream at this point.
Yeah.
I'm talking like Big Two though, but like the things people are making movies of right now.
Image is Big Three, dude.
Saga.
I mean, come on, man. You
more people know Saga than most of the books we read these days.
Everything Brubaker's putting out, everything that Fraction's putting out. There are tons and tons and tons of creators out there who are still doing creative and innovative things. I will agree with you.
It's not from Marvel or
but
DC.
that's not the thing. That's not the thing that's selling though. And you look at the charts.
No,
Saga's on there,
Raina
Walking Dead's
Telgemeier is
on
the one
there.
who's selling.
Yeah, Raina
But they're
Telgemeier
not-
is the one who's selling. That's an excellent point. And mind you, Saga sells pretty damn well on its own.
Nothing is completely original at this
Yeah.
point. That's
Yes.
not what I was saying. Is
Yeah.
like there's a difference between you watch something and you're like, okay, that's cool, but what if? This is not a what if.
I'm
this
just surprised how you guys go into every film and you expect like the most unique experience ever, and I'm like,
Hey,
I'm not expecting any of that.
Brent,
And you
dude,
guys fucking shit on everything.
that's not
We
true
didn't
at all.
shit on Captain Marvel. You shit on Captain Marvel, Brad.
It
I
wasn't
didn't
a
shit
very
on-
good film.
Hold on.
I ejaculated all over Endgame.
Let me-
Okay,
Yeah,
like all over every time I went to see it. All 7 times I've seen it in theaters.
And
okay?
also, if Brent, if you would actually let me speak for a minute here rather than yell at me, I was going to bring up Hustlers as a movie. Yes, it's not a freaking superhero movie, but it's very much based on movies from the past, and it's 100% a send up to Scorsese's old stuff, and yet it's a really enjoyable, entertaining movie all the way through, and one of my favorite movies of the year. But it's not original because it's not based on, it's definitely a pastiche to movies that have come before, but it creates a original narrative, and that's what matters.
It's also based on a true story.
Yeah, and it's based on a true story. Yes, that's
I know.
true.
I saw it. I didn't think it was that great, but okay.
Well,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
This just in, we have different opinions on movies, Brent. So
Yeah, my
that's-
favorite movie this year might even be Ready or Not.
Yeah, Ready or Not was pretty damn good too, and that is actually a pretty inventive, creative movie based on freaking hide and seek. So
Shit, I gotta go out to the movies more. My favorite movies are like a 5-year-old's favorite movies. It's Endgame and it's Godzilla. Are you kidding me? I gotta go out to the movies more, man.
Yeah, all of you need to see Us. I mean, it's out on Blu-ray digital by now.
Yeah.
Like,
It is. I saw it at Target the other day, so I'm gonna rent it.
yeah, and frankly, like I'm not hostile about this shit. Like, I mean, I 100% wanted to enjoy this movie, and I went into it wanting to. And there's actually bits of it that I did really enjoy. Like, I'm continuing to say, it's shot beautifully. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is excellent. Mark Maron, I really wish he had more to do in this, and I feel like he would have been a much better cast, perhaps as hell, even the psychiatrist, or maybe even the host of the show. But they had to throw De Niro in there to continue the pastiche.
that I liked. I thought that was actually kind of funny to have De Niro
Yeah.
to flip things around. It's just they probably could have done more with it.
Yeah.
Because in King of Comedy, it's that Jerry Lewis is almost hostile because this guy just won't leave him alone.
Right.
And here in Joker, he's not even hostile. Well, he's hostile, but in a different way. He's hostile in like, haha, I'm going to make fun of this dude.
Yeah.
Which can I, like, little side note here, something that it's not this film in particular. A lot of movies have been doing this where, you look at old movies and a lot of their plots don't work today because of things like cell phones.
Yeah.
Like Sleepless in Seattle wouldn't be a problem if they had cell phones. Now we've reached this point where writers don't know how to write a plot without things like cell phones. So they end up sneaking in like plot points that would be more 2019 than 1979. Like, mostly I'm thinking about the fact that Arthur gives this performance in the comedy club and someone recorded it. And somehow this clip made it all the way around that it ended up with Robert De Niro.
Mhm.
That is a total 2019 plot point. That's a cell phone plot point. That's nobody's just walking around with camcorders.
Yeah.
That's true. And even if the comedy club had recorded it, it's usually not their property when they record you like that. At least from what I know about friends of mine who have done stand up, it's usually just recorded for the sake of that individual. Or they'll play it inside the club itself. Like, they're not going to distribute it to other places like that.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
But
wasn't
this is a
gonna go
cruel
viral.
society.
yeah.
But this is a cruel society that hates Arthur Fleck, so it has to end up in the hands of his idol.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why he got it.
Point.
Because the plot needed him to get it.
Yeah. That's you're not wrong.
And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. See, that stuff like that, where it's a little, like, again, it shouldn't have happened, but it happened because it has to happen, is kind of like, it could have been like a thing where like they could even something as simple as, oh, I'm not giving this to him. I gotta send this out there. And it would have been fine because then it would have been like, oh, this guy's a dickhead. The guy recording is a dickhead who decided to ruin Arthur's life by sending it to the guy he admires the most.
Arthur got Tosh.0'd. Like, seriously.
Yeah. but like there's no like connection. It's just assumed, and like to leave me to assume to it makes me think about it. If you're gonna make me think about it, I'm gonna dissect it. If I'm gonna dissect it, the movie's ruined because I'm not thinking about the moment. I'm thinking about how the moment got made and why is this choice being made? What's happening? And then it's like why am I not sitting here absorbing the movie?
Right.
Why am I dissecting why you made that decision? That's the problem. It's like all these really not subtle choices make you go. It hits you in the head like a sledgehammer, and then you're like it rocks you, figuratively, not literally, and you're like, oh, I got hit in the head. What is this?
Yeah.
It's the same problem I have with actually. You know what? To roll it back to Snyder, it's the same problem I had with Snyder because Snyder's not very subtle at all either. Like there's one scene in Superman Returns where you get a messianic feel from Brandon Routh's Superman. There are like 50 in Man of Steel, and it's like I get it. He's a Christ metaphor. I get it.
Yeah.
Enough. So like anyway, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Well,
I don't hate Man of Steel. It's fine. I don't care.
Well,
it's fine.
You keep telling yourself that.
I don't want to be angry anymore, man.
Between you and your therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's parts of this movie too, like I mean, bringing back to something that Chris said in her initial remarks. Like I actually really do like the bit that he finds out from his mother that he's Thomas Wayne's kid, and then gets the information from Thomas Wayne and from the report that like no, that's not the case. You're just a guy. You're just this kid that was adopted by a woman with mental issues. Like
I feel like we still don't really know the answer to that because, of course, the mom counters were like, no, he had the record changed. Mm-hmm. It's never resolved. That's actually one of the things I liked in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that he will never get answers.
Right.
And there's just something that's a reason to be pissed off at the world.
That's true. That's
a thing that actually does harm people's mental health is like knowing like. I've seen people say like, no, you have to realize you're never going to get answers. But the thing is that there's nothing like that's knowing that is not going to stop you from looking for them and being mad that you can't get them.
And he does find the note, with the I always loved your smile from Thomas. So
on the back of the photo, and then he crumples up the photo.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, who the hell knows? I mean. But we're never going to get answers, and frankly, I'm okay with that because unless they suddenly decide that this movie made enough moolah that they're going to try to make
it's made a lot.
The next
we're not going to get answers because Thomas Wayne is dead.
Well, yeah, I know.
That's one of the good things about the movie. I was like, that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like lest Brent think I completely hated this movie. There were some good choices that it did make, and that was one of the ones I was like, that I liked. But that's also goes into why I think the movie needed more direction. Like it needed not a villain, like because when you talk about conflict in movies, it's like there's man versus man, man versus himself, man versus nature, this is a man versus society. But it's just that, like we said, society was just kind of nebulous and not clearly defined. Like what was his problem in this? Like Kafka, the trial, his problem is the government that they're putting him on trial and he doesn't know for what. Like at least that's specific. Here it's because of the unreliable narrator. He's like, everyone hates me except the coworker who gave me the gun. For some reason, I like him until I don't.
Yeah. And shot selection in the movie too is great too. I mean, like the scenes on the trains are all excellent. The chase scene where he's running onto the train and what have you, that was really well done. The climax of the movie, I would say is great, except for the fact that I didn't get to see it. That was one of the worst movie-going experiences that I've had in recent memory.
Was that the climax or the cop? It was during the cop scene. I feel like the climax was the riot.
Yeah. It's second to last climax then. Okay, yeah. It's second, almost the climax.
Now you're making it sound dirty.
Yeah.
He's going to explain just now. I just want to say, Ian, you made it sound very dirty just now.
Giggity goo. Yeah, so we're sitting there watching the movie, and these two guys come in. Mind you, we're at an AMC Prime showing, like the best fucking seats you can get at an AMC movie. With the reclining seats and like the amazing sound system and the giant screen and what have you, one step away from IMAX. And we're sitting there watching it, and we get to the scene with the stabbing and what have you, and these two guys walk into our theater and turn on the flashlight on their phone and walk into our row and demand that the two people sitting next to us get up from the seats that they've been in for the last 2 hours because they claim that the seats are theirs. And they're doing this while they're standing directly in front of us, and we're yelling, "Get the fuck out of the way! Get the fuck out of the way! We're 2 hours in. Get the fuck out of the way!" And they won't listen to us or them until they take out their phones and are told, "You're in the wrong fucking theater." They thought it was they thought it was the beginning of the goddamn movie.
Dumbasses.
And
Well,
we're,
they changed the signs to the theater to like the next showing in the like towards the end of the movie. Those little digital signs.
yeah,
They don't say like 7:45 showing until the movie ends.
right.
They say 7:45 until like 8:30, and then they changed to the 9:50.
The digital sign outside our theater was broken, but it still said Theater 18, and their ticket clearly said Theater 19. So, like, 2 and 2 is 4 there, man. And, yeah, we missed that entire scene because of these assholes. On the
What
break,
was the scene in the cop car?
It's when the cops were chasing him through the train, and then
Before he got to the theater.
yeah,
the cops end up getting gang piled.
Oh,
and,
okay.
yeah. One of
Beat
the
up, yeah.
one of what looked like one of the most artistic, well done scenes in the movie. from
It
what
was
I could
very well
see.
done. I would be more pissed because there was very little Joker in this movie, and that was one of the two or three scenes. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the bright side, AMC did make it right and give us comp tickets to be used at another showing for whatever.
I had a terrible experience from mine too.
Oh, really?
I got into the theater like a little bit after the first trailer started, and I didn't know who I was sitting next to. There was a seat between me and a guy, and the guy on my right had headphones on. So I was like, I wonder why you have headphones on during the trailers. Then I realized because the guy on my left is a loud talker.
Uh-oh.
And he talked to himself throughout the whole movie.
Shit.
Like, "Oh shit, did you see that?
Oh, no.
Oh my god, what did you? Oh, he killed him. He
What?
killed him." Or like, "What are you doing? Oh man, that's the Joker." Like every time something happened, and I was just like, I just had my arms crossed, and he was elbowing me and trying to took the entire armrest, and I'm just like, "You fuck!" And it was like an 18-year-old kid who didn't have class that day or whatever because he had his backpack with him, or maybe he came after class, and I'm just like, "Dude, do you know how to function with other people around in a movie theater?"
Apparently
Holy
not.
shit.
Apparently not.
Like he talked through every major scene, and I'm just it's just everything in my power to just focus on what was in front of me. So maybe I got to see the movie again, and like because like I was just like so angry.
You sound anti-backpack, Raph. What's wrong with a backpack? I have a backpack.
No, but like he looked really young. Like he looked really young. Like I almost asked him for his high school ID to see if he's cutting school or not. Like he looked like a kid, and I was like, "What the fuck, man?"
I mean, maybe he did what I did with the South Park movie and got tickets to see Patch Adams and then went to see South Park. I mean, who knows? Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
But like he was the only person like that loud throughout the whole movie.
yeah.
And it's like it's just like I know there are people that do it to be like funny, like during a movie when there's like a funny moment and someone says something like really dry or something. But like every single, "Oh my god, did you saw?" And like it's like, are you trying to start a conversation with me in the movie? Or do you need friends? Is this why you're talking? I'm not going to answer you. You know that, right? I don't know you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm here to watch the movie.
So in conclusion,
what are you doing, bro?
In conclusion, this is why movie theaters are failing, and everybody's just waiting for Netflix. I think that's what we learned.
Movie theaters need to have 5 feet of soundproof wall between each seat.
Mm-hmm.
And just
that shit doesn't happen down here in Florida.
Yeah.
I am
just
moving
New
to
York.
Florida, dude. Let's just hang out, Brent, all the goddamn time. I will watch whatever you want to watch. I will agree with you. I don't care.
Can-
Hey, if you can do the dishes and the lawn and the laundry, you got yourself a deal.
You got it. It's a deal.
Or you could just go to Alamo more often, Raph.
That's true.
That's true. I can do that too.
Yeah.
They don't have recliners.
Alamo has recliners.
In the
Not the one I've been to in Virginia, I guess.
in the first row of every theater in the Brooklyn one, they have recliners. So if you want to sit in the first row, then
Who wants to sit in the first row?
it's actually not that bad. All things
It's a little
considered.
further back, so it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But I went because it was a $5 Tuesday, and I had vouchers.
Yeah.
So I got that, chicken tenders, and a drink for like $6.
Ooh, well done.
So that's why I did it. But I've learned my lesson. It's not worth it.
Yep.
Once Alamo does their unlimited, I am never going to another movie theater again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got into season pass, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm on the waiting list,
Nice.
so I'm so ready.
Oh my God.
My body is ready,
So
as the kids like to say.
So here's a question for you. In the end, was setting it in the 70s worth it? And do you feel they crafted a well enough Gotham around him in the movie? You know, like would the movie have worked just as well setting it in 2019? You know, making it a pastiche the way they did. Like, was it just artsy fartsy bullshit, or did it actually work?
I think it was artsy fartsy bullshit. I don't care when the film was set in. My problem was that if they're gonna make him be the turn into the Joker when Thomas Wayne's still alive, then he's too fucking old.
Yeah.
And like there's no way you're telling me that 30 years ago I worked for Thomas Wayne and this kid's like 45 or whatever. How old Joaquin Phoenix
He's
is?
supposed to be 30.
Bullshit. He's clearly not 30.
Yeah, I know.
So that's what I took issue with. Like, if you're gonna make him 30, then he's too old. If you're gonna make him Joaquin Phoenix, then like let's say set this while Bruce is in college or something. You know, come on. And that's the Batman stuff that pissed me off a little bit. It's like,
same
this will never be the real Joker because all this stuff, and you know, Batman's not going to come back as a 20-year-old and fight a 60-year-old. Well, he did in Batman '89, okay, but you know,
see, at least
Batman was also 40,
right?
Wasn't he?
Yeah, at least with Gotham, the TV show, like it's believable for him to at least be like, you know, like 20, 21, and then have him be facing 40-year-olds. You know, that's not too bad.
Well, in Gotham, first off, they posited that the Joker is an idea, not a particular person.
Yes.
Which is why there were two in the end.
Yep.
Which I can go with that with the movie with Joker. Like, I can believe that. My only issue with that was like I think, you know, the movie was a little bit too long. Because I feel like him. Well, I think honestly, if it had ended with him on top of the cop car getting the adoration he always wanted, like if it just stopped there, like I feel like it would have fit more naturally into the Batman mythos, because then it could have just been any of those people around him could have gone on and become like the Joker that plays Bruce when he gets older. Right, but then they go to the scene in the asylum, and it's just like, why are we going to this now?
Yeah.
What is happening here? What is going to come of him? Is he going to escape? Is he going to be in prison for the rest of his life? Like, it just opened up a whole box of things I didn't need. Like, it just, him on the cop car would have been just the perfect ending. You know, the Waynes are bleeding to death in an alley. Like, there you go. The
scene in the asylum at the end, I do agree. Did feel a bit, you know, extraneous. Like it was an unnecessary capper. You know, like I feel like at that point Todd Phillips was just trying to do too much, and like that's a sign of maybe that's when the editor should have walked in, because you know the editing is just as important as the directing, and maybe if the editor had gone to Todd and been like, you know, maybe the film works a little bit better if we don't use this, and Todd would have had an open mind, even though he doesn't exactly seem the type of person who does have an open mind from the interviews that I've heard with him and after the fact. Maybe it would have worked a bit better, but I don't know if anybody was actually strong enough to say to him, hey man, let's try it without it. But hell, it won awards and I never have. So that's, you know, what do I know?
So I'm with you there. Like, I'm almost thinking like, you know, I definitely believed that he was, I don't know what the term is, you want to put a label on it or whatever, insane, mentally ill, whatever. Like, he was there for me in my showing. But my problem with it was like, I felt like they didn't go far enough with the Joker. Like, I figured out pretty early on in the movie, like, okay, this is going to take forever, and we're not going to get to see him until the very end, and that was kind of okay with me. But I really didn't think they made him insane enough for him to be the Joker, not just a Joker.
Yeah.
So I could see where it's a different character later on that faces Batman if this is the guy, because he just seemed like, hey, I accomplished what I want. This guy was making fun of me. I shot him. Everything else is okay. Look at all these people who love me right now in this riot, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. Let me read Donovan's comments real quick. They're pretty brief. He didn't get a chance to really write up much, but he's actually at a film showing tonight, so he wasn't able to join us. But he did say, for what it's worth, I thought the movie was surprisingly basic and nowhere close to disturbing or transcendent. at some points of its positive critics have praised it to be. Maybe some people genuinely believe this leads to some new DC Joker Batman film continuity, because it really doesn't, won't, isn't. It's not bad, but not worth any extreme emotion, either positive or negative. And that's his basic thoughts.
I think that was quite beautifully written. Hi, Donovan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's
I feel
a
like
lot.
you liked it a lot less than any of us did.
Yeah. I mean, I like it and I don't like it at the same time, which is a weird place to be, but
Hey,
that's the best way I can describe it.
I said on Facebook right after I saw the movie that I've never been this conflicted about a movie in before, or at least in recent memory. I just straight up hated Man of Steel. Like, I mean, other than like the first 20 minutes, like I thought, all right, bullshit.
I love the
rest.
first hour.
Yeah.
No, tell us about it, Ian. You hated Man of Steel.
Yeah.
What?
Well, so you know what, Ian?
Let me go
It's
call
like,
Jamal.
the reason why Joker confuses you
Yeah.
is because it has everything you like,
Yeah.
but it didn't assemble it in a way that's actually pleasing to you.
That's a very good way of putting that, Chris. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, because I love the performance.
Yeah.
I love the setting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit it. Yeah, making it a period piece is pure wankery.
Yeah.
But I am here for the wankery.
Yeah, and the New York porn everywhere. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
setting
Real
it
quick,
like,
so-
partially filmed in the Bronx, mostly filmed in the Bronx, actually. With bits of Brooklyn and Manhattan peppered in there. Like, yeah, it's great. But
Oh yeah, I heard you go to Martha. That's the King's Theater. You were a little loud at that point.
I know. Sue me on that one, but yeah, it's true. But Raph, what were you gonna say?
Going back to your New York thing, so I think it actually kind of fits. It kind of fits because 1970s New York is a shithole.
Yes.
Everything's falling apart.
Yes.
Everything's terrible, and it makes sense to put Gotham, a crumbling Gotham, in the 70s.
Yeah.
But the big problem is obviously, 6-year-old Joker is not a match for 20-something-year-old Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But I get why they made that choice, because that setting is perfect for a Gotham City.
And a little bit too on the nose though with the garbage strike. Like,
It's very on the nose. That's the other thing. They're not subtle.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
what is going on with the garbage strike? Because like, as a non-Gothamite,
yes.
I don't know what the fuck, why you say that's on the nose.
Chris, you're probably better at explaining this than I am, but yeah, there was a really, really long garbage strike in New York history, where the streets were basically just littered with garbage as garbage men refused to do their job, looking for higher wages, and essentially proved to the city that we cannot survive without garbage men. So.
Dude, I don't remember that at all because I wasn't alive yet.
I know, but
Is
you
it-
know
at
New
least I
York
don't think
history.
it
on
was.
the nose if it only applies to like one city 30 years ago?
Fair.
I don't
But a
know.
lot of cities did have problems in the 70s. Like, it wasn't just New York. It's just New York was probably the most prominent because of the whole, Ford to New York drop dead.
Yes. Yeah.
And then America's mayor came in and cleaned it all up, right, guys?
Yeah. Nope.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about the New York porn? I feel like
Yeah.
we have to bore the fuck out of Brent.
Oh,
and
no,
just
please.
talk New York porn for a few minutes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they shot stuff in the Bronx. I know Martha was like, "Oh, one of my clients is across the street from that building."
We passed parts of the Bronx also, like near where she used to work, which I very much recognized almost immediately.
I sincerely want to mind wipe you guys every time before you go see a New York City movie.
Hey, it also
I feel like it ruins something for you.
well, it also didn't help, Brent, that last New York Comic Con, I was taking the F train into the city because there was a train construction on my normal line, and we roll into 18th Avenue, and parked across from me in the station was the Gotham Transit Authority train that they wound up using for that scene, because that scene takes place at 18th Avenue. So I was waiting for that scene in the movie because I literally saw them prepping it for filming. So that made me even happier.
Yeah, let's be honest. We were all kind of excited about. I mean, everybody's excited when they film something in your hometown.
Oh, sure.
as I learned from visiting Savannah, a city that is obsessed with Forrest Gump and Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. That's all they talk about.
Yeah, man, because nothing shoots anywhere but New York.
Oh
and
yeah,
LA.
Well,
no, because
and
when I lived in
Atlanta.
Sykesville
and Georgia.
they're obsessed with the Chris Rock movie.
Yeah.
I got so upset when when we were watching Dexter, and I found out that they only shot the exteriors in Miami sometimes, and it was mostly LA for Miami. And then the same thing with Ballers when it was in Miami, like the first season.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't even Miami. And then immediately in the second season, they're like, we're moving to LA because they were tired of trying to make it look like Miami.
Hey, the exterior shots of Brooklyn Nine-Nine are the only parts that are actually filmed in Brooklyn. So that's, that's just all part of filming right there,
So do you guys get excited about SVU because they shoot in New York?
Oh yeah, dude. Like at least
they're all there all the time, right?
Yeah,
I live near there.
Yeah,
near the court.
They shoot near me too, as does The Good Wife is shot in my neighborhood. Ian might remember that they shot so much of Boardwalk Empire.
Oh yeah,
2 blocks from here.
Yeah, we used to take pictures of the old cars all the time. And there was a show that nobody wants to talk about anymore, but there was an episode of Louie that was heavily filmed in the Ditmas Park area also, because so many places like to make that area like Massachusetts or Virginia or anything like that, because it's old Victorian houses, so it's nice and easy to dress it up as another state and get away with it. Yeah,
I still hunt down all the sites from Superman the movie.
Although I'm still annoyed that Fringe filmed a scene that was supposed to be happening in quote unquote Boston in Coney Island, and it was so obviously Coney Island, but then they moved production anyway to Vancouver, and then everything looked like Vancouver. So go figure. But
yeah, in general, I get excited when they shoot. It's not even just New York. Like I like how the Nolan movies were shot in Chicago.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when things are shot in cities that aren't Vancouver or LA, like it's exciting because you can feel the history. You can see like I hate saying grit, especially, it's 2019. Everything's supposed to be clean now, but like you can feel that it's real.
Oh yeah.
Like on a level that, again, Vancouver doesn't look like anything. Sorry if there's any Vancouverites listening to this, but it's true.
It's true.
You hoser.
Vancouver looks like Vancouver, which looks like The Flash, which looks like Supergirl, which looks like Batwoman, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
And there's also parts of Cleveland that look like New York, because that's where most of the Avengers movies were filmed.
Yeah.
Right.
At least Gotham was also shot in New York.
Yeah, that's true.
So to pivot back to Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing I got out of it was, and this is the thing that like kind of drove me not a bit mad, but a bit nutty and a bit emotional, is like I really got the society message out of it.
Yeah.
In a way that made me like self-reflect, and like Raph knows what I'm talking about, but
I do.
Are you saying
I love you, man.
Are you saying that you're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore?
No, it made me feel as a cisgendered white male in the suburbs, middle class.
You just broke us. Why?
Yeah.
Well played. You get the award.
welcome.
Well done.
This is just one of my pet peeves when people do that shit. But
I know.
But it just made me feel like, oh, maybe I have, because the whole time I was watching it, and I was like, okay, I'm identifying with Arthur. I'm sympathizing with him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't empathize with him because I have not been where he's been.
Right.
But I was sympathetic to his plight. He's trying to do good in his life. He's trying to do well. He's trying to be a good clown. He doesn't really know how to read people very well. And like, I don't know, maybe having a 5-year-old shaped some of this. Like, Olivia's a great child, don't get me wrong. As far as we know, she has no mental problems. She's well developed. But teaching a 5-year-old about how people work is a challenge sometimes. She's constantly asking me when we watch movies or TV, is that guy a bad guy or a good guy? Mm-hmm. Like, we're watching Toy Story 4 after dinner tonight, and she asks me if Christina Hendricks' character, the Dolly, whatever her name is, who doesn't have the voice box, is she a bad guy or a good guy? And I was like,
it's complicated.
Well, it's complicated. Yeah. She's kind of a bad guy at the beginning, but she becomes a good guy because we learn to like her at the end and feel sorry for her. She's like, okay, so she's a good guy. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. You know,
It's going to take a few
like,
years for her to get that
yeah.
vocabulary
Yeah,
because it's
so
protagonist. There's a reason we use the words protagonist and antagonist, but they're too long for a 5-year-old.
right.
You know,
So-
it's merely the opposing force.
So I'm
Yeah.
watching Arthur, and I'm like, oh man, he really has it rough. Like his mom he's taking care of his mom long term, which Amanda's family has done with her grandmother, taking care of her long term. There was more than one of them, you know, but I know the strain that puts on a family, much less one person. You know, I know Raph's had to take care of people, and that put a strain on him a little bit. So I can understand that. I can understand how like he's out there, he's looking for some connection. He's trying to talk to his neighbors, but his neighbors won't give him the time of day, or they just make one thing and he wants it to be more. You know, I get some of that from when I was in middle school, and, you know, I had a hard time making friends. You know, and it seems like to him, at least, the world was constantly like, they made a brutal point of it. Like when Arthur is down, the world is going to kick him when he's down. Like they did that twice in the movie.
Yeah.
In the subway and in the streets. And that was the narrative direction, is like, this world kicks you when you're down.
Yeah.
They're not going to pick you back up. And that was a little forced, but I felt it in a way that was like, okay. And so when I was watching the film, I saw this guy struggling for connection and reaching out, and him being a comedian or trying that is him reaching out for connection, reaching out for somebody to talk to him, to see him for who he is, or just not even acknowledge that he has mental issues or not make fun of him, whatever. Everything that we want when we meet someone, we're not looking to be judged, you know. And here's a person that's constantly getting judged, and how people were just like writing him off at face value or face level. And I thought about today's society and like, are we a society that kicks you when you're down?
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of are. So I kind of drew that parallel to like, okay, here's a society that we're going to make it literal. We kick you when you're down, and we can only do that by taking away cell phones, by taking away social media, by taking away cyberbullying, where it's so to the point because there's nothing else to hide this metaphor behind, basically. Yeah. You can't have fake likes, you know. You're on Facebook and somebody posts a sad post about how they're feeling that day or whatever rough day they had, and you're feeling for them and you want to express it, but at the same time you're making an excuse about why you're not going to like that post, because it would be, you know, if you like a sad post, are you liking that they're sad? Are you liking that they feel they're sad? Are you liking that, like, I'm there for you, buddy? Like, there's no middle room, and that's why Facebook has all those new emojis and stuff right now, I guess. You could also, what would be better would be for you to take the time and comment on there.
Yeah.
You know, and say, hey, bud, or hey, girl, I feel ya. I'm right there with you. If you need anything, call me. You could put it out there in the public. What would probably be the best thing for you to do is to text that person, message that person, hell, call that person, have a coffee with them, and have that conversation in real life. And that's the type of connection that brings society up, that elevates society, that makes us all one humanity, where now we're all different groups and segregated or whatever, because we've all got, you know, Facebook groups on Twitter or whatever the fuck that, like, you know, puts us in a corner, puts us in one bucket or another.
Yeah.
And without that, that's like a shield of protection, that type of thing. So when you strip it all down and you're looking for connection from anyone, because you don't know where to turn and no one wants to connect with you, I felt like you could react in such a way that Arthur did, as well as if you had all these mental problems, you were on some sort of toxicology drug treatment that was altering your brain chemistry, and then suddenly you weren't. You did have something, or you realized your therapist wasn't actually listening to you. That's very upsetting and offensive. Finding out your father may or may not be who you thought they were is also upsetting, you know? So like, I've kind of viewed this and I was like, okay, he's really, rather than a Joker story and like grading it on that, that's what I got out of the movie, is like, society is fucked up, and we're all just yelling at each other, and we'd rather yell about Superman's cape or Man of Steel or political shit on Facebook than like actually reach out to someone. And I reflecting on that on the 5-minute drive back to my hotel when I was on travel, and I was like, I really have done some of those things, and like, I reached out to Raph because, not to bring up Raph shit, but he is one person that I do want to be friends with, and I do feel for, and I want to sympathize with him. But I have been guilty of like scrolling past his Facebook post from time to time if he's had
my 17-page Facebook post.
So that's what I got out of the movie, and that's why I didn't really like want to give it a rating, because I was disturbed, not by Arthur, but that the way that the message made me feel about myself. And like that's why I was like in my because Bullets review, like I don't know that I could recommend this movie because it's not entertainment. It's more like, to me, it was about how you self-reflect after it. Yeah, you can piece it. We can pick apart all the Batman shit and the well-shot shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like that's what I got out of the movie, and I feel like that's really what it was going for, and maybe that's why it won the Palme d'Or or whatever at Cannes.
And you know what? I see that and I respect that, man. I'm glad it hit you that way. And I'm glad that you got that out of it. I legitimately really am, and I mean clearly other people did as well, or else it wouldn't have gotten the praise that it got, like you mentioned, or it would have been
or $252 million.
Yeah, and or it would have been 18% on Rotten Tomatoes instead of 65. Like clearly critics understand what you're saying, or at least some do. Just the way that I reacted to the movie, and it's not to say that everything that you said isn't true. It just rang a bit more hollow for me, if that makes any sense. It just didn't feel like the movie earned a lot of the troubles that Arthur had. I'd say, one of my favorite parts of the entire movie is the scene where he's in his apartment with Gary and the normal sized clown.
What about normal? That guy was pretty tall.
Yeah, fine, tall guy.
He was big and small. He was big and small.
Yeah, big and small. Thank you. Where the big and small size clowns are there, quote unquote, consoling him as he's trying to basically find out whether or not he ratted them out.
Which, mind you, is exactly what Brent was talking about. People, they were actually reaching out to him in that moment.
Yes, they were. And, then Arthur
they were trying to seem like they were, but
one of them was. The other one wasn't.
Yeah. Gary was real.
Give a fuck. He wanted to know if he ratted him out. Right?
Gary was real, and that was probably the most tense moment in the movie for me, because I was thinking to myself, like, oh God, is Arthur actually going to take his aggression out on both of them, or actually let Gary out? It's also one of the intentionally or not, I believe intentionally, funniest moments of the movie, where he's trying to unlatch the latch, and Arthur's like, nah, don't worry about it, guy. I got it for you, and he lets him loose. Because there's legitimate tension there. But had he killed Gary, I think the movie would have been irredeemable for me, to be entirely honest.
And it becomes a much darker movie. Then he's really psychotic.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a shit about anyone.
Which is why he didn't kill Gary, which is why I didn't think he killed Zazie Beetz, because I know some people think he might have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, he entered her apartment, creeped her out, and then he left. That's pretty much what I read into the scene.
Yeah.
To Brent's point, like what I think you kind of unintentionally hit on what a lot of people have been worried about with this movie, in that it does reflect the white male cisgender worldview, and that like the angry worldview, the guys who have been lashing out doing all the mass shootings because they think the world owes them something. And Arthur goes through this movie like, people are kind of some people are outright cruel to him, but he's even kind of like angry at the people who don't have anything to offer. Like the social worker, I feel bad for her because she gets cut because of budget cuts. She probably has like hundreds of clients. She can't keep track of them all. She's obviously not a very good social worker, but it's not like she hates him or she's malicious. She's just like, she doesn't have more than the 5 minutes that she's allotted. It's just that like basically what I want to say is like, no one owes you their time. Like we can talk about how cruel the world is, but at the same time, there's the whole, you have to put on your own mask before you put on other people's mask. And I mean, that is something I feel in the movie, that like everyone is so busy with their own bullshit that, you know, they can't be there for Arthur, but they shouldn't have to be, because Arthur, for the most part, his life isn't actually as shitty as he would make it sound. Like, he has a place to live. He has a job. He's not great at it, but at least he's employed. He's got a social worker who gives him medication.
He doesn't really have like a illegal drug problem.
Yeah, he's in a.
Yeah, he's not a drug addict. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's not great. His life isn't great, but it's stable in a way that like most people don't get, especially even in the 70s. He's not homeless. You know, I'm not saying that he should be grateful for what he has, but that he is getting angry over not, like, his anger seems to be like, well, I don't have the pretty girl down the hall, and I don't have the spot on the show. And he hasn't quite realized, like, or he doesn't want to admit maybe that the problem is him, or that it's not fair that the problem is him. You know, again, the movie was a little vague on that kind of stuff. Like, you don't really know a lot of his motivations, like, not just because it's unreliable narrator, but because I honestly don't feel like I learned that much about him. Like, why does he want to go into comedy? He likes the show. Is that it? Like,
I guess.
I feel like that's probably the one thing he comes home and watches with his mom every night. And, like, she idolizes that guy so much. Because doesn't she, like, quiet him down at one point in the movie? Like, shush, Maurice or whatever that guy's name is talking.
Mm-hmm.
Maury talking. Like, the show is on, be quiet, which is, like, a very, I don't know, 70s thing to do. Like, there's only 3 channels. I don't know.
Yeah, so the other thing was, there is a very subtle mention. It was right when Arthur kills his mom. He mentions the laugh. So I think it turns out that the laugh isn't a psychological disorder. It's a physiological damage from being beaten so severely by that ex-boyfriend. I think that's the conclusion he comes to. I think that's everything that's wrong with him is because someone else did this to him, and that's what causes the snap. Because life is a joke. I mean, life is cruel, but it's not tragedy. It's hilarious because I had nothing to do with any of this. None of this is my fault. Fuck it. I'm just going to kill everyone. And that's where the psychological break was supposed to happen.
It's an actual psychological disorder that can be brought on by traumatic events, Raph.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so, like, it wasn't like he wasn't born with it.
No.
It was
no.
It was put. Yeah. It was put upon him.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as like getting in a car crash and suddenly having imposter disorder. You know, like it's definitely like it's you know, it's neurological, but it's also psychological due to intense trauma, that sort of thing. You know?
No, I really hate how this movie is making the 4 of us who are not psychiatrists or therapists, like, we're turning into armchair like diagnosis.
Oh,
That's what.
Yeah.
That was what the point I was making before. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. Though, is like, I'm not comfortable with saying he's insane because I don't have that expertise. Maybe I don't know if did Todd Phillips outright say that, like, he's supposed to be insane?
I don't know, actually. All I know about Todd Phillips is that he doesn't like criticism. That's all I know about Todd Phillips right now.
He thinks nobody makes funny movies anymore, which actually that's a comment that made me super mad when I read that.
And Scorsese, the comments that he made, to be honest, you know, because I mean, I brought up a damn good Scorsese movie earlier, but him essentially saying that superhero movies aren't art, and Sam Jackson, who's been in Scorsese movies, basically told him to shut the fuck up.
I mean, he compared superhero movies to theme parks.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. I saw a tweet that actually said, no, that's actually a perfect
kind
comparison.
Of accurate. Yeah.
Like, theme parks, there's nothing wrong with theme parks.
Yeah.
Theme parks are one of, like, great.
A long time theater park goer.
Yes.
Once a year, seeing cheesy ass shows with terrible costumes and terrible stunts.
Yeah.
All at once. That does not compare to a superhero movie got a $200 million budget.
Quality, yeah.
I said theme park, like Disney World, like not the shows that they put on, not the shows. We're talking about the roller coasters, the the teacups, the castle. It's an experience, not a work of art.
You come down to Galaxy's Edge and you see the still PS3 era graphics on the Millennium Falcon ride, and then go home and play something on your PS4 or Xbox One on a 4K HDR screen,
Yeah.
you're still going to go, the movies are much better well made than the theme park.
Oh, yeah, but that's
Well, I think you're still missing what I'm trying. You're not even letting me finish here. What it is that theme parks are kind of like a more recent invention. Like they're an experience, a type of experience that didn't really exist before the 20th century.
Aren't they older than film, though?
Well,
Not by
superhero
much.
movies don't go back to,
Okay, but theme
the
parks,
90s.
though.
The theme park, like, because we had amusement parks, you had rides, you had the Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen and
Yeah.
stuff. But we're talking about like creating a whole new world to visit. And I'm just saying, like, Scorsese saying that a superhero movie is more like a theme park to him. It's like, it's not necessarily insulting. Like, theme parks are fun. They're at least fun, right, Brent?
Yes.
You know?
I mean, I get it. I just don't think we should listen to the critique of a guy who's made basically the same film over and over again with slight variations.
Did you not see King of Comedy? Now that I've watched it, I'm like, man, he does have range.
Yeah.
Goodfellas, Gangs of New York,
Yeah.
The Irishman,
I was
Casino.
just going to say, though, that, the King of Comedy was, like back in the 70s, and he seems to have made the same movie a lot since then. So he might have had range at one point.
You get stuck. You
I'm
get
sorry.
typecast.
The Aviator, one of my favorite films.
Oh, okay. There you
Not a gangster movie.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, that would be like, like putting Spielberg in a box. Meanwhile, Spielberg makes every type of movie known.
Martin
to man.
Scorsese made Hugo, and that wasn't even that long ago.
That's true. Good point.
That was
Sorry.
2009, 10,
Yeah.
11.
Yeah,
11. Okay.
good.
Sorry,
point.
I had to look it up, and I was like, oh yeah, Hugo, which is not like any of his other
No,
movies. It's
completely
actually
different.
kind of happy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it is.
probably the happiest movie he's ever made.
It's joy.
Yeah. Do you want to see more movies like this out of DC or hell, even Marvel or things like that? Because, like, we had Logan, and Logan was significantly different than everything else. And yes, that was Fox, not Marvel. But it was a superhero movie that, went out of its box and created something completely different than anything else that we've seen before. Like it's barely even a superhero movie. It's more like a Western in a lot of ways. It has some superhero action to it, sure, but it's more of a Western. I want to see the box pushed way more. I just want balance out of it.
I think DC needs to nail the core superhero ideal first.
Yes.
Like Wonder Woman, I liked. The final battle was garbage, but the rest of the movie was pretty solid. Shazam is actually a very fun, delightful movie.
yeah.
Shazam was pretty good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to make more of those, nail that formula before they can start experimenting. Because Marvel has gone all over the place, but Marvel did kind of nail the core superhero tenets before it started to be like, let's make a space caper movie, let's make Shakespearean superhero. They at least, let's do Iron Man first and see how that works. And
Yeah.
that worked out. So let's,
I'll take this type of movie over the same rehashed origin movie that Marvel's going to make
I agree.
over and over again, because this was something different. This made me really feel something and made me really think about something. Whether or not I really gonna want to go watch it again, it's a different story.
Mhm.
But I'm more interested in talking about this movie than I am watching Endgame. I've seen Endgame exactly one time in the theater, and that's it. I have the Blu-ray for months. I have not put it in because I can't find 3 hours in my day.
Oh, I
to
just
sit down
watched.
and watch it and try and
I
stay
just
awake.
watched Captain Mjolnir. I don't care about anything else.
All right. So
I will
but,
definitely rewatch.
you know,
yeah.
Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, as good movies as they are, they're pretty much almost note for note the same, pretty similar, whatever, however you want to put it. There's a formula, they stick to it, it works for them.
Yeah.
But I'd rather
I feel
get
like Black
movies
Panther
that try
was
to
different.
do something. I'd rather get a movie that tries to be different and fails than get the same movie or a version of it over and over again.
Yeah, I would agree with what Chris just said, though, that Black Panther is different in many ways than movies that have come before it. Doctor
'Cause
Strange as well.
well, with Black Panther, they did all the origin bullshit off screen or in previous films, so they could just. What I liked about Black Panther was
But
the
it
fact
was-
that the first half was boring, But the second half, once Killmonger starts working, I was like, okay, this is different. This is interesting. The villain has a very good point.
And I'm way more interested in the second Doctor Strange movie than I was in the first,
Right.
because you're getting rid of that origin bullshit that, frankly, I'm glad that they didn't wind up doing too much in Spider-Man, because that actually allowed it to be a movie.
Because you had 5 movies before it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But basically, Black Panther, though, in most of the first Marvel movies, you end up fighting like a mirror version of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm tired of.
Oh, yeah. No, dude, I completely agree with you with that. You know, I mean, there's a reason why Marvel's been trying to diversify their supervillains over the last few movies, because they realized the same thing that we realized, and we brought it up on the show tons of times before, that
They were boring.
They were boring. Yeah, they were generic. They were throwout. I barely
What's
even.
the name of the villain in the Dark World?
I was just gonna say Malekith.
Malekith, the
yeah.
accursed.
Dark Elf.
Yeah, see, yeah, Raph got it right. Ian got it wrong.
Damn
Which
it.
should tell you something.
That's
You only
because
know
I
who he
just
is
finished
'cause
War of the
Jason Aaron.
Realms.
Yeah.
The real villain of the Dark World was the script, but that's beside the point.
No, the real villain was the friends we made along the way.
Liquid that should have been a gem.
Yes, that's true. But I
The real
would.
villain wasn't there wasn't more Darcy in it.
Yes, Mew Mew.
I see.
I think I heard she's coming back in one of the Disney
WandaVision,
shows.
I think.
WandaVision. There we go. Yeah. So that'll be nice, because Two Broke Girls is over, so she can do more things. Going off of what you said though, Brent, about how you'd rather see movies like this that try and fail, I'd much rather see movies that try and succeed. But I get what you're saying.
Well, I want them to be successful, but like failure in the terms of like, I got it, I got something out of it. You guys didn't seem to get as subjective, I guess, but like, I don't know. I don't
got
know if I
something out
enjoyed
of
the
it.
movie per se, but I really enjoy talking about it, and I'm picking it apart. I'm finding I'm picking it apart less than you guys are, which might lean towards me enjoying it, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you guys are kind of meh on it.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying and failing. I mean, I love Jupiter Ascending, even though it is a trash fire.
Oh yeah.
It's so bad, but it's like unique and beautiful, and like again, it's the inside of a 12-year-old girl's brain.
Yeah.
Like it's and I'm okay with movies at least trying something different.
Sure.
My thing with Joker is that it feels like it's pieces of other better movies kind of pushed together.
Can I bring up a movie before Raph makes his point, that I was reminded of at times while watching Joker, Glass, the M. Night Shyamalan movie that came out earlier this year,
Which I didn't hate.
Year?
Yeah,
It was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I know. It was. What was it? February, I think. I remember seeing it.
January or February.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember seeing it right after I got back from Florida with David at the in Newark. Especially like the weird body stuff that Joaquin Phoenix would do with his muscles and stuff like that was really reminding me of what the Beast would do in Glass and in Switch before then. But also
Split.
Split. Yeah, why did I say Switch? I always call it Switch in my head for some reason. Split.
Because that's what you think the sequel will be called.
Yes, exactly. But it reminded me of that a little bit, but it also with the way that it went into mental illness and what's real and what's not. I did get some throwback to that. It's done very differently in M. Night's movie than what's presented here, but I'd say that's probably the closest superhero comparison that I can get, especially since it happened so recently. I don't know if you guys thought about that at all, but I just kept thinking about that every single time I would see Joaquin, flex his weird-ass muscles and, like, the emaciated stomach and stuff like that, which was creepy as fuck, and I hope he ate a cheeseburger. That's immediately where my brain would go. Like that's completely where what it felt like.
I didn't see that movie, so I can't say.
Damn it.
Wait, you guys, who did you record an episode with, Ian? Then
I don't think I actually talked about it on here. I think I talked about it on CGS.
you could have
recorded-
invited me.
You've recorded 3 episodes this year of Comic Timing, so I don't think that was one of them.
There were at least 5. Come on.
I was on 2. This is my 3rd one. I know that much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So now we have to have a day where we watch all 3 of those movies, like maybe while drunk,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just podcast afterwards.
You mean Unbreakable, Breakable, and Broken?
You're never letting that one go.
I still think that's what they all should have been called. Damn it! But that's in my head.
And then the fourth one is I Can Fix It.
Oh dear Lord.
Do you remember what you were going to say, Raph? Before
Yeah. The reason the reason I didn't end up enjoying the movie partially is very subjective. It's because, like, you know how I mentioned my dad before. There are 2 times in my life I have completely failed at understanding someone. Once was my dad, and the second was this version of the Joker. I don't understand him. I can't wrap my head around him. And it reminds me of my dad. So that kind of takes away my enjoyment of the movie, because that doesn't leave a great taste in my mouth. I'm trying to separate that from the movie, but that's me. So that's also my own bias.
So I don't know that I can see how it affected your non-enjoyment of the movie, or made you enjoy it less because you had a bad experience with someone with similar symptoms, your own dad, for a majority of your life. Did it make you scared of him, though? Like, if you were scared of your dad, were you scared of him in the same way?
No, it's just because I'm not a kid anymore, and like, it's also like I could see, like you were mentioning how you were thinking of me. I could also see myself in his position, and it's like,
well, I never thought you were going to turn into the Joker. Like that's
that's the thing. But like the experience of who's downtrodden, who's had a shitty life, who, parents weren't all that great, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I because the part of understanding people is putting yourself in their position. I tried doing it, and like I just can't. I fundamentally will never be the Joker because I don't understand that. Like I can't be that. So that was my problem. Like I couldn't wrap myself. I tried it. I tried thinking about it. Like, I went through stuff like that. I went through stuff like this. Blah 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 blah. And it didn't. And I can't come to that same conclusion.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am.
No.
But like you found your joy elsewhere, though. Like you found your joy in comics
exactly.
and
it's
Turtles, and we don't know where he found his joy. It seems like all he did was watch his mother's joy, and when his mother's joy crushed him, he broke, right?
Yeah, exactly. So and then you find out the truth that it broke him. Like I don't. It's just something I can't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around.
And I think that it's hard to, in a movie like this, especially with a character like the Joker, where even in the comics and hell, even in the Dark Knight, like with him being sadistic and with him being a maniac and with him being completely unreasonable and psychotic. There's also weirdly moments of levity and especially humor. And this is a Joker that fails at stand-up comedy and never is really funny. He doesn't have to tell jokes even. It's just he does not have a personality that is in any way charming or humorous. So it just leaves you flat that way. He's a clown, sure, and that's maybe the few times that you really do see that is when he's interacting with, say, the kid at the beginning, or when he's at the children's hospital until the gun falls out of his pocket. But
oh god, that was so dumb.
That was terrible.
That was bad. But it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It was. But it's just I
can see that charm being part of his psychosis as a Joker, though.
Right.
Like, not necessarily a part of his base personality, but something that grows along with his disorder, or whatever you want to call it.
Like, as he embraces it more, he'll start doing things like,
which is all well and good, man.
The pencil trick.
Then why was this the movie that they made?
I'm with you. I wanted more Joker. Like, I would have been fine if he went nuts 45 minutes in the film.
Yeah.
And we had a more just, like, honestly, I kind of want more than just not even 20 minutes. We really got 10. We really got, like him running the scene you missed, Ian.
Yeah.
and maybe Chris. The scene you guys missed where he's running through the subway or whatever, like he doesn't feel like the Joker there. He's wearing the makeup, but he's still Arthur. Like he's still scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't really turn into the Joker until he gets to that dressing room and like has that smoke and writes on the mirror, which they didn't even focus on very much.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, we really only got the Joker for 10 minutes, maybe, when he was on the show. And then after that, he's either incapacitated or he's like back to somewhat out of that manic state or whatever, and just enjoying it. And like even the psychiatrist or the Arkham stuff at the end didn't really feel like the Joker. So like I wanted him to go crazy earlier on, and just go on a full out rampage, because I was like, I really wanted that Dark Knight moment where he fucking kills the whole audience. I was like, how is he going to get the gas? He doesn't know anyone.
And that's another part of it too, is that like, I mean, you know, I'm one of the biggest fans of Elseworlds possible. You know, I love alternate realities and I love alternate takes on characters, and it's one of my favorite things to read, and it's one of my favorite things to experience on screen too. You know, stuff like New Frontier and Red Sun, and you know,
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths coming soon, motherfucker! Can't wait.
Oh my God, Kingdom Come Superman!
I know. Please.
Okay, let me say it one more time. Cast David Mazouz, you cowards!
Thank you. Yes, that's a running joke. That's a running joke that I hope lasts forever. You cowards! But it just, yeah, I had this felt more natural and had it felt more like the Joker, then I probably would have liked this movie a lot more. And I would have liked this movie a lot more even if it had been called Charles or something and just had nothing to do with the Joker whatsoever. And we're just watching a man melt down and turn into, you know, the worst possible version of a human being that we can possibly see. You know, it's just you strike a goddamn balance between the two. You got to do that between art and you know what you're trying to ape. And you make that work. And it didn't for me. And it sucks because I wanted more out of it, and I think I would have really enjoyed the movie otherwise. So that's probably the best way that I can put it.
I think, like, technically on this film, we can determine there be two things.
Yeah.
One, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor.
Absolutely.
I don't know that he's a great Joker, because, again, I feel like we only got 10 minutes. It's hard to judge.
Yeah. When
you got 2 hours in Dark Knight, you got 2 hours in Batman.
At least he didn't have a mustache he tried to cover with makeup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some bit of camp to that, I guess. Mark Hamill got years, but like, you know, even Jared Leto got more screen time as the Joker than this guy did. So.
And he had 15 minutes.
Yeah. So I don't know, but so that's one thing. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the other thing is that we can all say that Todd Phillips stepped his game up. Mm-hmm. As a director. Like, he can do drama, he can do comedy. And he knows how to pick a good cinematographer, a good set director, set decorator, whatever, or unless the producers did it. But also, Bradley Cooper was a producer on this film. So,
yeah.
I don't know. So there's two things, I guess, that come out of this movie. We get maybe an Academy Award for Joaquin Phoenix, again, I think. And Todd Phillips stepped up his game, so hopefully he expands and does something we all like next time.
Hey, come on! He's producing the untitled Hulk Hogan biopic.
I want to see that Rocket Raccoon
Joker
so
good.
crossover.
You never know that Hulk Hogan could be good too.
They better include the Gawker shit. All right.
You know,
it's gonna be Joker all over again, but instead of shooting a comedy host on live TV, it is him shooting Gawker in the face.
If they get Ang Lee to direct the Hulk Hogan movie, the way he directs Gemini Man, and they use actual Hulk Hogan to be himself.
Oh my God!
We could have a masterpiece.
No, I so hope this is true though, because so he's directing as well. Todd Phillips is directing. Apparently, Chris Hemsworth is starring.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I think he can.
Well, let me tell you something, me owner.
What you gonna do, brother?
I'm checking out of that one. I'm done.
Plus, it makes sense that Bradley Cooper produced, considering he was also a producer on Limitless, and I think wrote and directed a bunch of episodes of that TV series. So they know each other from that.
They know each other from The Hangover.
Oh yeah,
from The
right.
Hangover.
Shit, right. I forgot about that. There we
Cooper's
go.
big breakout was that.
Yes. Good point. I
Saved him
completely
from
forgot that was-
alias obscurity.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is really odd, is because I'm like, wow, this is a very pretty film. It's got a lot of interesting things going on with it. Wait, this is the guy who made The Hangover?
Hey,
Well, you go back and watch the Hangover movies; they are actually very pretty. So he's had some for a while.
he also did part 2 and part 3.
Let's not talk about those. I do love what he's like. They don't make any good. They haven't made a good comedy film in a decade, and it's like, okay, so when did The Hangover 3 come out? Did you just self-own?
That came out in 2013.
Yeah, self-own.
The Hangover came out in 2009. So that's
Self-own.
yeah, self-own.
Yeah.
Oh my god, game set match, man.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I've seen some Tiffany Haddish movies that I laughed at pretty hard.
Yeah, no, I think he's wrong that there haven't been. I think there have been
Booksmart.
plenty of hilarious movies the past 10 years.
Booksmart.
Bridesmaids.
Booksmart is hilarious. I love that movie, and Olivia Wilde
I've been
did a
watching that
great
girl
job.
since Last Man Standing. She's a fantastic actress. Catelyn Denver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's on that Netflix show about, I forget what it's called now.
And Jonah Hill's sister is in Booksmart also.
I can't believe that's his sister.
I know. I didn't know for years because they have different last names. But
I wonder if they have different parents, though.
they might. She's also great in What We Do in the Shadows. She plays one of the side characters in that who becomes a vampire in like the 3rd episode. She's excellent in that. So where does Joaquin rank? Since you did just mention his 10 minutes of Joker, like where does he rank in people who have played the Joker for you, Brent?
Actually, so I would probably put it Hamill, Ledger, Leto,
Whoa, no.
and Joaquin,
I'd put
and then Romero.
you got to put Romero before Leto. You fucking kidding me?
I haven't watched that much of Batman 66, but I would put Leto above because, again, he had more screen time as a Joker, and he was more Jokery.
Where's Jack Nicholson?
Oh, okay, so Nicholson would be... I don't like Nicholson very much at all, so he'd be pretty low.
But like, still, you forgot him. He was the first major Joker in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so exactly my point. I don't know.
He's better than better than Leto.
Like, you can't
I'd probably
forget him.
I'd probably put Nicholson below Joaquin.
Okay.
Because I like Joaquin as the
Yeah.
Joker more than Nicholson, because Nicholson's really just being himself in makeup,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah, I also don't like the Joker as an actual like crime boss type deal.
Mm.
Because again, we've been talking about how the Joker should be crazy, insane, or whatever, and it's just like he just seems like still seems like a mean crime boss, but now he's electrocuting people and painting paintings or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it didn't. I don't know.
Oh,
You forgot the most important Joker of all,
who?
Cameron Monaghan.
Oh yeah, that's true. Good point. Good point.
Sorry, I haven't
yeah.
watched all of Gotham yet.
Yeah.
It's okay. No one did.
Dude, I stopped after the Azrael stuff, so I need to go back. That was
lo-
like season 2.
Oh god, I loved Gotham. It was so stupid and so good. So stupid and so good. But
See, we can like things that try something new and fail horribly.
exactly. Actually,
That Batsuit was terrible. I didn't watch it, but I saw the picture.
and
Was
speaking
it as bad as it looked?
no, it actually looked pretty decent on screen. It looked better
Because it was on screen for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Which is 2 seconds more than Tom Welling was on screen as
was
Superman
about
in
to say.
Smallville.
But he's coming back.
Yes, he is. Who knows? If he's-
Until they put a photo of him in the costume like Brandon Routh is parading up and down Vancouver in that
Oh
suit.
my god,
I
I,
don't believe
love it.
Look at
I
me.
love it though. I
Look
love
at
Brandon
me.
I know
Routh
he's
so
back, but they're not going to put Tom Welling in a suit. I guarantee it.
I think he is, and I think he's going to be in a new 52 suit. That's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be closer to that. Watch it happen. But no, I laughed at the fact that they put the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey trailer attached to this. It's like, and now for something completely different.
There
And-
wasn't one in front of mine in Washington.
Oh,
in
yeah?
DC.
Oh, well,
We
got
had
it.
missed
no
it.
Birds of Prey trailer.
Yeah, we got it.
I was
it-
like, surely that's right in front of the film, right?
Yeah, was it?
No?
I missed it. I think that was the one I missed.
Okay. Did you go to a Regal or an AMC, Brent?
Uh,
Or a Cinemark?
Regal? It was a Regal.
Regal? Okay. Yeah. We were at an AMC, so that makes sense why they were a little bit different. But
Raph, all you need to know is that is just like there are Republicans in name only. This was Birds of Prey in name
No, I
only.
saw the trailer. I saw the trailer at home.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the movie theater. It's got Cassandra Cain. I'll go check it out. I don't care.
I think it's going to be better once we actually see it, and
I hope.
it looks like a lot of fun. It does.
Ask Donovan if that's Cassandra Cain.
Hey,
I don't think he'll agree.
he said he was happy to see her period, so I think that's
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I'm happy to get anything at this point.
yep. My
Let me get some more characters, and then let me argue about their quality.
yeah. Let's see. I'll rank mine real quick, and then we'll finish it out with the rest of you. But I think Mark Hamill number 1 definitely, and then kind of want to put Cameron Moynihan second, but I really shouldn't. So he's going to go third. This is harder than I thought it would
Who's
be.
second? Who's second?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
It's Leto, isn't it?
No, it's not Leto. Screw you. No. Fine. Heath Ledger's second. All right. Heath Ledger's second. I'll put Heath Ledger second.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No.
Because of us.
I was thinking about it. Because I do still really appreciate his Joker. So he's second. Cameron Moynihan's third. Joaquin Phoenix is fourth. Then Cesar Romano. Romero. I do that every time. Ray Romano is on my list for some reason.
I think George Romero, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, there we go. Then Jack Nicholson, then a pile of shit, then Jared Leto.
Wait, you left out Joaquin?
No,
you put him before? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I missed that part.
Yeah. No, I had Joaquin pretty high up there, and John DiMaggio's on that list somewhere too, probably right in between like 4 and 5 or something like that, because I do really enjoy his Joker, and he doesn't get to play him enough as in the animated world. Raph, what do you do?
I'm pretty similar to you. I love the Ledger Joker because I feel like he's the most chaotic one. But I think I'd give it to Hamill. It's between him and Hamill. I flip-flop at any given time. So I would go, those two are my top two. The third one is probably Cameron, because I do like Jeremy Velasquez.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, is that the first one or the second one? Which one? I always get them mixed up. Jerome is the first one.
Yeah, Jerome's the first one. Jeremy's the second.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Yeah. I prefer Jeremiah.
I know there was a second one.
So it's 3. 4 is going to be Romero because he's a classic. 5 is arguable. It's probably going to be Nicholson, or no, it's going to be Phoenix, then Nicholson, then Leto. I just don't like Suicide Squad. I didn't think
it's not. I
would if Leto. I just don't like he's the least appealing look wise. Like I just don't like that look.
Yeah.
I think his actual performance wasn't that bad from what I remember. I don't remember much of Suicide Squad because I'm trying to block it out. But like I don't think he was terrible in the role. I just don't think that was the Joker.
He was damaged. You could tell he was damaged because his forehead.
Yeah, it was just like so like really terrible. I would if he had been in this movie, I would have given him a chance to like prove me wrong.
He had a grill in his mouth.
But it didn't. But whatever.
He had a grill in his mouth. Remember the grill?
Take away the grill and the tattoos, and everyone might have.
He might have been okay. Yeah, he might have been okay. I just don't want to think about Suicide Squad, so I'm not going to reflect on it.
That's fine.
Well,
Suicide
you're getting
Squad.
another one.
Yeah, Suicide Squad 2, starring James.
No,
directed by James Gunn.
Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. It's a different movie. Like the Batman from Matt Reeves is going to be different than Batman.
That's true. You make a good
The
point.
Fast and the Furious.
Exactly. Two different films.
God damn it! Now I need to watch that video about how sequels and naming doesn't make any sense anymore.
The F8 of the Furious.
Chris, what are your rankings?
I'm probably where Raph is, where it's hard to pick a number 1. Because it could be Mark Hamill or it could be Heath Ledger, depending on how I'm feeling. Sentimentality, I would give it to Mark Hamill, but like Heath Ledger is probably going to be the prototypical, archetypical Joker for most people.
Yeah.
So like I kind of have to give that the edge. So yeah, we'll say like Heath Ledger, Mark Hamill. Number 3, Cameron Monaghan. Because like I'm super angry that they wouldn't let him be called the Joker. Because I think what was great about his Joker is that he got to do different versions. He got to do a Heath Ledger Joker, and he got to do a Jack Nicholson Joker.
Yep.
And that's actually kind of fun. And again, the whole Joker is more of a concept, like almost like a virus, a meme.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the Joker in the last episode?
They did They did actually call him the Joker in the last episode. Yeah.
But they didn't ever before then.
No, he was either
He was just Jeremiah.
Yeah, he was Jeremiah, or he was Jerome. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So number 4, you know what? I'll say John DiMaggio, even though I haven't seen as much of his Joker as apparently Ian has.
Yeah.
Number 5 can be Jack Nicholson, because I mean I enjoy the movie. He does some interesting stuff, but it is still kind of like Jack Nicholson more than it is a Joker to me. And then we're up to number 6. Zach Galifianakis, Lego Batman.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
No.
It's so doofy and dumb and beautiful, you know. And then I'll do Cesar Romero. I need to rewatch a lot of 66 Batman. I used to be obsessed with it as a kid, but it's still kind of just like, I don't know, it's kind of flat compared to what everyone has done with the character since. And then I can't even say number 8. It's more like DSQ is Jared Leto for me.
Disqualified. Oh man.
Sorry, Jared.
Yeah.
You were good in Dallas Buyers Club, even though you were cast wrong because you're a guy playing a woman.
Yeah. Wow. I looking at
Wasn't his character transsexual though?
His character is trans. You shouldn't be casting because the argument for not casting cisgender men as trans women is that you're basically saying that trans women are just men in dress up, which they're not. There are trans women actresses out there that you could hire and still pull off the same thing. With the
I get it. I saw Orange is the New Black, and she's a great actress. No doubt about that. But isn't it still acting at the end of the day?
It is. This is a whole nother argument we could have. I think.
Right.
I can play a tree.
Yeah, what are you, Scarlett Johansson?
My favorite Asian actress.
Oh,
don't talk about her.
Best
I
cosplay,
love her.
Best cosplay of the entire New York Comic Con was this Asian girl who was walking around with a sign that said Scarlett Johansson.
I loved it. I saw that. It's so funny. I love it.
I just think back because I didn't know. I found out with Dog Day Afternoon that the actual wife did offer to play herself in the movie, and they turned her down because she was too pretty.
What? Wow.
Yeah, that's why they cast Chris Sarandon, because they wanted it to be a guy playing a woman.
Jeez, that's messed up.
Mm.
Well, and by the way, looking it up, John DiMaggio has only played the Joker 3 times, 2 of which were in Lego things, but he did play him in Under the Red Hood, which is a damn good animated movie, and I love the Joker in that. So he
wasn't the Joker in the Batman or one of the TV series.
I thought he was the Joker in that series.
No, looking it up
the
here.
Jackie Chan Batman.
Let me take a look and see what the person was who played that real quick. But it was not John DiMaggio from the looks of it.
Because I was at the panel at San Diego, and I could have sworn it was John DiMaggio.
Let me see.
Strike him from your ranking.
Yeah, the Batman TV series from 2004 to 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. That was Kevin Michael Richardson.
Oh, it's
Michael
Richardson.
So we'll swap them out.
Huh. Yeah, wow. Go figure. Kevin Michael Richardson could play everybody.
Who is he?
Kevin Michael Richardson's like one of those voice actors that you've literally heard in everything.
Okay.
Like he's an everyman type of voice
He's like
actor.
Phil Lamar.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, he's been in everything. He's even voiced animals a couple times, if I remember correctly. Like he can do literally anything.
He is a bunch. Yeah, he's like all the extra voices in a lot of things. He is. I've got his thing up. I'm trying to see if I can find a big role.
He's going to be in the Invincible animated series. So I don't know who's playing.
That's still happening?
Yeah, he played Cleveland Brown Jr. On the Cleveland Show and Family Guy.
Yeah, at least we're looking this up so that anybody listening to this episode won't get angry.
Yeah. Oh, and he's Principal Lewis on American Dad. Like that is one of my favorite characters right there.
Oh, your voice.
He's Shredder.
Yeah. Oh, he should. Okay. And he was Martian Manhunter.
2012 Ninja Turtles.
He was Martian Manhunter on Young Justice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Mal Duncan. So he's done a bunch of shit
Mal.
over the years. Bunch of voices. So many voices. So there we go.
Can we pivot to comics?
We can, but let's rank this thing first.
Okay, yes, let's rank.
Yeah.
You guys rank.
Yeah. What do we give out of 5, Chris?
Out of 5,
Yeah.
I might have given it a 2.5.
That's actually exactly where I lie.
Maybe a 3, depending on the day. But yeah, just a 2.5, just because I kind of went, it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I give it a 2.5 myself. I think that very artistic, beautifully shot. Just wish the rest of it could have been better. Raph?
I'm actually a little more generous. I give it like a 3, maybe even a 3.5 because it made Brent think.
Because it made me think about you.
Yes, I'm an egomaniac, so it's if it's about me, then yeah, I'll give it an extra half point.
Yeah.
No, I
You're worth more than a half a point, Raph.
I'm just saying like the story is okay. Everything, there are a lot of great things about it. There are some things that are really not that great. So it's a little above average for me. I wouldn't say it's average. I would say it's a little more above. It makes I think about it more than the average movie.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And Brent?
I'm still gonna go with it's unrankable because I don't really think it's entertaining per se. So to give it an entertainment scale, I think is a little unfair. But in terms of a well-madeness scale, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Brent
It is very well made.
Brent gives it a not available out of 5.
It's the Galaxy Fold of DC movies.
Unrankable.
We didn't score it. We haven't scored it.
I know. Ooh, Kevin Michael Richardson played Panthro on that Thundercats remake. I forgot
He
about that.
did.
Yep.
For now.
Mm-hmm. All right, we can talk a little comics before we wrap up. Brent, what do you got?
I've been reading this series called Birthright. And I feel like no one else is reading it, but it's really good.
Not Superman Birthright, something else?
No, it's an Image book.
Yeah.
It's written by the guy who's writing Flash, Williamson. Yes.
Yeah, Joshua Williamson.
And if you haven't been reading his Flash run, it's fantastic. 80 issues in, still the best thing on the stands from DC, I think. And consistent. But Birthright is basically a story about a kid who gets kidnapped. And when he's kidnapped, he's sent into another world. And over in this world, time works differently. So when he comes back, he's been missing for 2 years. But now instead of being like a 7-year-old boy, he's this 28-year-old Conan the Barbarian killer. And he's trying to battle the forces of evil and magic on the world he was raised in and our world, while his parents and his older brother are trying to go, what the hell just happened? Chaos ensues. You find out things about him and the people he interacts with on both worlds, and they all kind of mesh together. And we're, I think, 12 issues away from the end of this book. And the other great thing about this book is that the art is all done by one guy. I want to say Alessandro Bracetti or whatever, and he's done every issue since the beginning, and he's fantastic. So
cool.
Well recommended.
Nice. Yeah, I honestly have not heard of Birthright, so I'm gonna have to give it a shot. Yeah, I'm looking for the name of the artist now, just so I can look.
Andre Bresson.
There we go.
Yes, Bresson.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bresson, Bressan, yeah.
One of those. The other thing I read recently that I really, really liked is I've been reading these really kind of weird erotica comic books.
Yeah.
Swing Volume 2 I liked.
Oh, yeah.
It's very short, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But I fell into that hole because I read Sunstone by Sepjon Sejic. He was doing the Witchblade art for a while. He did a couple issues of Justice League Odyssey. He's the writer and artist of the Harleen book that just came out. And Sunstone is this really kind of strange for me, being a white cisgendered male in the suburbs. It's a BDSM love story between two women and their friends and what's around them. It's really beautifully drawn, but he does the same thing that Lee Bermejo did in the Joker graphic novel, where he goes from a very looser style to a super rendered style when he wants to be sexy or dramatic, or like the big splash pages kind of thing, and really hit home an image of like, oh, something's sexy or something's happening or somebody's hurt, somebody's sad. And then so like there's 5 volumes of this weird BDSM erotica comic, but over the 5 volumes it really tells an arc of a story between these 2 women, and goes less and less like the first volume is very much like, I don't know, sexy, and then as you get towards volume 5 it becomes less sexy and more dramatic and more about the characters and their relationships. And the latest one, volume 6, is called Mercy, and they're actually basically finished with the 2 women's story, and now they're switching to their best friend, this guy, and the girl he met and fell in love with, like in the background of that first story, and they're delving into their backstories, like how they became into this whole scene and how they are messed up and have problems and met each other. And like it's going to be a whole nother, like, I guess 5-volume arc or whatever.
Interesting.
But it's all written and drawn by him. It's all put out on Top Cow. I saw a trade paperback in a Books A Million in Virginia in the middle of a mall, and I was like, this should not be in here.
That's like the time that Chris was with me for this, when we were in a bookstore and we saw. Actually, no, it wasn't a bookstore; it was a library that had Watchmen in the kids section.
Ugh.
Oh, that was the time I had to like write a letter telling them like, look, I am okay with you guys having Watchmen. It cannot be sitting in the young adult section.
Yeah.
Look at the blue penis.
Blue Wang.
Yeah, like a week or 2 later, they had actually created a new section that said adult graphic novels. So, you know.
Hoorah.
I haven't really been reading a lot lately. I did read this little indie comic out by Jonathan Hickman called Powers of 10 and House of X that have been fucking amazing. Best X-Men books in years. Oh my God.
Like, since Morrison? Better than Morrison?
Honestly, in some ways, better than Morrison. Like, it's... You got to be a fan of Hickman to like it, and I'm going to say that straight up. Like, if you were a fan of what he did with Fantastic Four and what he did with Avengers, you're probably going to like this stuff.
I liked his Avengers stuff. I haven't liked much else he's done.
Okay, well, this is similar to that in the way that he's crafting a world, and Powers of 10 actually goes like past, present, future, far future. Which is why it's called Powers of 10. Like, you get X1, X2, X3, X4, and get to see
X3.
like, yeah, I know.
X3 X-Men United?
Yes, actually that one. No, not that one. It sucked. And you basically get to see a whole bunch of different stories happening at once. House of X is based in what would be present day. Has a totally different take on Moira McTaggart than we've ever seen before. Essentially, he makes Moira a mutant. And the way he does it, like, I don't want to spoil exactly what's going on for anybody who still hasn't read it. What he does to the character completely changes her from the ground up and cements why we are where we are, both for Moira and for the characters as a whole. He even has explanations why there's X-Men that were literally killed off like 3 months ago in the X comics that are showing up again. He does a really, really good job with everything. The art is absolutely gorgeous. And again, I haven't had this much fun with the next book, and I cannot tell you when. Probably since Bendis' stuff. But this is better than Bendis' stuff because it's crafting something new. If they actually stick with this stuff, like they don't actually renege on it once Hickman's no longer involved, then this may actually bring the X-Men back to the prominence that they really should be in the Marvel Universe. So yeah, definitely go with that. Tons of other stuff I bought recently just because I was at New York Comic Con and got a bunch of books, whether they be freebies or whether they be new stuff. Like I got a copy of Gail Simone's 7 Days #1 because she was at the con and we got to chat for a bit. And her amazing husband. Oh my God, I love him.
Yeah, I've met him once or twice. I think way back when we were still new when we still had Podcast Arena.
Yep. Yeah, no. Scott,
those were the days.
Scott's the best.
Her Clean Room series from Vertigo?
No, I didn't.
Oh, this is fucked up. It's good.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There may also be more, what was the one that she did with Calafiore? Weaving Megalocalypse. They may be doing more of that eventually. So that's good to hear. But yeah, I got a bunch of books that I can't even really think of right now. I had a decent time at New York Comic Con. Wasn't one of my best years, but probably the best thing I did was on Thursday. They had a whole bunch of panels at New York Public Library that I went to that were new and different. Did a Asians and Comics panel that Raph would have loved. And they had.
I should have been there.
I know. And First Second had a nonfiction comics panel that I went to that was great. Oh, Rick and Morty Dungeons and Dragons playthrough that we did was fantastic. Fred Van Lente is an amazing Morty. That's like he had him nailed perfectly. And Raph, I did get a recording of that panel that I'm going to send over to you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So all good stuff. Chris, you read anything lately?
Comics wise, I'm a little fuzzy because I even just checked my Goodreads. I was like, what was the last comic I read? I haven't had a chance to read anything from New York Comic Con yet. I did buy Box Brown's Cannabis, the illegalization of weed in America.
Nice.
Not because I'm into weed, but because I'm like big into like history and like non-standard history. So, I've just been like, I have that. I haven't caught up on Die yet. I have the last 2 issues sitting around. On the history thing, I did tell you I've been reading the Mary Shelley biography. If you think you're goth, you're not as goth as Mary Shelley, who lost her virginity on her mother's grave.
What? Oh my God.
Is this an autobiography?
No.
We're taking this as fact and not a tall tale?
Well, it's the book kind of goes like, look, Mary and Percy used to go to the cemetery where her mother was buried all the time.
Oh,
and
so it's like inferred? Basically?
Yeah, her half and her stepsister would go with them and then take a walk. Time. And then they're like, and then at some point, like Percy Shelley wrote in his journal that like he had been like reborn, and they're like, we're pretty sure he got laid. So,
wait, is Percy her brother?
Her husband. She was Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But we know her as Mary Shelley. Like I were to say Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin,
Like,
you would have been confused.
Great episode of Drunk History, by the way. Watch Are You Afraid of the Drunk? And they go through the history of how Mary Shelley did Frankenstein.
There was an orgy involved.
Yes, there was. A fun one.
Yeah, I've taken this family-friendly podcast and just taken it in a whole new direction.
Listen, it's fine. Brent was talking about BDSM comics. We're good.
Yes. It's my fault first. It is an R-rated movie, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
Yeah. I also have the Badass Broads, which is sort of a comic, but just like more like an illustrative. I haven't read that one yet either. So get me on another podcast and I will tell you about all the wonderful books I've read.
Oh man! Oh, I did pick up a copy of Crowded in trade paperback. I have the first 6 issues on digital, but I'm looking forward to reading the last 3 I haven't read yet with it in my hands, and that'll be good. And I got the Luke Cage series that was originally digital only that they released as a trade, just because it sounds cool. It's about Luke dealing with the fact that he's got a disorder that's actually killing him from the inside out, basically. Even though he's still strong on the outside, he's actually dying on the inside, and needs to find a way to stop that from happening. So, sounds pretty interesting. Raph, you got anything?
I'm catching up on Jason Aaron Avengers, and I'm reading the Critical Role Dark Horse series. But I'm so behind on so many. I am if Raph from 10 years ago could see my backlog, he would be so shocked.
I feel like you and Murd have to team up for a Time Bubble episode.
I'm beginning to get to Murd. I have 3 short boxes that I have to catch up on.
Oh Christ!
And it's because I keep buying like dollar comics and I get sentimental. I go, oh look, I've always wanted to read that and blah blah. Yeah, whatever. Stop it.
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing that, because I was.
Yeah, I know. I gotta stop it
too.
I'm terrible.
And I will mention that I got rid of almost all of my single issues of comics. I donated them to the Housing Works bookstore in New York City. So if any of you guys live in the New York area and are looking for a place to donate your books or comic books, that's a good place to do it, and you can write it off on your taxes after the fact. So it's you're helping out the bookstore, and they get to keep running for charity and everything, and
Yeah, they raise money for homeless causes and AIDS.
Yeah.
So I basically see them as like Salvation Army without the homophobia.
basically, yep,
Yeah, not bad.
yep. So good stuff all around.
So, if we find a comic from 2001 to at least 2006, and we smell it, and it smells like a small New York apartment,
Mm-hmm.
with
It might be mine. Yeah,
it might be yours.
yeah, that's possible. It's certainly
My
possible.
apartment is not small.
No, I'm talking about the closet when he lived in it with his parents.
Oh no!
Oh, the Harry Potter room.
Oh
Yeah.
That one still, most of the stuff is in there, man, and eventually that shit's gonna be donated too, and that's gonna smell like an old apartment. I'll tell you that much. That much is gonna happen. A lot of them don't even have backing boards, but they're still in pretty good condition. I went and checked them last time. Whole bunch of issues of Peter David's Captain Marvel. Good stuff.
I'm not letting go of any of my late '90s stuff. I got those back from my uncle a couple of weeks ago.
You and fucking Electric Blue.
I love them. That's actually what I've been reading. I've been reading the stuff that I started reading when I first started collecting, which is like, Ron Mart's Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I just reread the issue where Kyle meets Hal.
See, you oh my God, that was the first. I think that was the first issue that I picked up of Green Lantern.
What is that?
That was like the
75.
That's 100.
Yeah,
No, 75. It's 75. No, is it 100?
I think it was 100.
I started in the 80s, I think 89 is when I started.
He
so.
shows up in 53 or 54 or something like that. 55.
I bought that comic from a drugstore on Queens Boulevard in when I was still working for my dad on Sundays. Like I remember that vividly. So that's there was also a comic shop across the street on Queens Boulevard that I bought a couple of things at, but I definitely bought that one there along with Zero Hour Number Zero.
Yeah, my first comic shop's a hipster bar.
Nice.
Oh well.
Yeah, well. All right, I think we can wrap it up. But yeah, Chris, thanks for coming on. Where can the people find your stuff?
Well, I am at Lampbane or at Chris Nautis on Twitter. One is pleasure, one is business. So one will be just me bitching about anime and comics, and the other one will be bitching about tech.
Yep.
Yes, you could go to engadget.com and read my piece about Alex Garland's new show coming out next year, Devs.
Yeah, the fact that you got to see the first episode and we can't see it till spring. Really?
You didn't see the whole thing. It was just a chunk of it.
I know.
It could change.
That's true.
They could edit it and ruin it.
I got to meet Allison Pill.
Yep.
From Sex Bomb Bomb?
Yep. The very
So
same.
sad.
From Newsroom?
Yep.
I liked the Newsroom.
Me too.
I don't know if anyone else did. I did.
I like Newsroom. Newsroom.
Olivia Munn,
Yeah,
Allison Pill,
Newsroom was pretty
Kinda
decent when
miss
it was
it.
on. Yeah.
the guy from what's it? Gallagher. John Gallagher is that his name?
Yeah. Jeff Daniels,
Yeah.
man. Come
Jeff
on.
Daniels.
Yep.
Dev Patel was in it, right?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was very good in that show.
It had a great cast, and frankly, if it had continued to today's world, I can only imagine where that show would have
Oh
went.
man.
Yeah. Like
It was so good.
He's even talked about bringing it back a couple times, like thinking that it might be time to maybe do a few specials in the world. But who the hell knows? Raph, where can they find you?
All my socials are at Raph Does Stuff, RAPHDOESSTUFF. I'm also producing a D&D live stream called The Natural Ones. It's twitch.tv/natural_ones_. That's on Wednesdays at 8, but the VOD should be up like the day after. So I don't play, not yet at least.
Yeah.
But
All of the
I help a bunch
characters
of people.
just have skills of one.
No, but they roll out of ones, and I play the wah 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 a lot. So if you ever hear that sound, if you were watching, you hear that sound, that's me.
That I now have that embedded in my head. Thank you.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'll do it for our game. I don't give a shit.
Yep. Casina, tell them where they can find your ass.
You can find me on YouTube as BK's Bullets. You can find me on Facebook as BK's Bullets.
And
You can find me operating the Comic Timing podcast page sometimes too.
yes, that is true. And you're at Casina B when you remember Twitter exists.
Usually my Twitter's like retweets and stuff.
Yeah, I know. You usually just retweet when the episode comes out.
Retweets are not endorsements.
I do retweets more than that.
That's true. All right. Well, you can find me at I am sci-fi with underscores, I_am_sci-fi. Find me over at Comic Geek Speak at comicgeekspeak.com. I'm going to promote an episode I was not on. The most recent Crisis Tapes episode just came out. And you want to talk about nerdery, okay? You want to talk about nerdery. This entire 3-hour episode is all about the cover to Crisis on Infinite Earths number 5. They go through every character that is on that cover and the history behind it. 3 hours long. Peter Rios and Adam Murdoch.
I didn't even listen to that. What was the last one they did like that? Was that the JLA Avengers cover?
Yeah, I think that was the last one that went this way. Yeah, they've done a couple of covers over the years. That was definitely one of them. Yeah, eventually I'm sure they'll probably do the Alex Ross wraparound, and that'll take forever.
I remember when they started that. God. I remember when. Oh God, it's been so long. We're so old, guys.
I know. We did do a retro movie review for Spider-Man 2002 recently as well. That was pretty good.
So you need to get me on for Spider-Man 3.
I will let you know when that happens, and we will dance down the sidewalk in Manhattan.
Yes.
But yeah, check us out at comicgeekspeak.com if you are interested. And that is that with that. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Check us out at Facebook at facebook.com/Comic Timing, where you can see Brent and myself being opinionated like we tend to do. And we're proud members of the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com and the League of Comic Book Podcasts over comicbooknoise.com/league. So for Chris, for Raph, for Brent, and for Todd Phillips, I'm Ian Levacy, reminding everybody out there that there's always time for comics.
Nothing's funny anymore.
Everything sucks.
You're not funny.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Good times, gentlemen and lady.
I'm not a lady.
Good times, gentlemen and Chris.
Yes, I'm an amorphous blob of gender.
I was gonna say, what the fuck are we?
My gender is a fighter jet.
I fucking love that. Whoever's doing that, stop. I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You monster.
Sorry, no, my thing came loose.
Sharpening his
that's all
pencil.
right.